A beautiful and wonderful Wednesday morning, everyone. Before we start, may I ask everyone to please give me a quick like or a thumbs up if you can hear me crystal clear. Great. Thank you very much for your responses. To start our today's program, may I request everyone to put ourselves in the most mighty and holy presence of our Lord Jesus Christ. Father, we praise you for this event and your purpose for it. We know that when we gather together, you always have a divine agenda, and we love you for that, Father. That even when we have done what you have asked, the results are so much greater than we ever could have imagined. Our prayer today is that your will be done through this training. Take what we have prepared and multiply our efforts as only you can. Steer our intentions to align with your rights. Again, a blessed Wednesday morning to everyone. And this is your facilitator, Monica Marie Sadia from the Capacity Development Division. And welcome to the third day of the online training for the Municipal Local Government Units on Government Procurement Reform Act, or the Republic Act number 9184 and its 2016 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations, Batch 9, brought to you, of course, by none other than the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office. But before we dive in today's lecture proper, energizer po muna tayo, no? And today, we will be having Put Your Finger Down for our morning energizer. Now, for the mechanics, very simple lang po, no? All you have to do po is to show us your 5 fingers, kahit 5 fingers lang po. Thank you very much, Sir Ray Lenore from LGU La Paz. Kahit 5 fingers lang po, sir. And all you have to do po, is to put your 5 fingers and put a finger down kung nakaka-relate po tayo sa phrase or phrases po na I will read or ask. All right? Ready? All right. For the first question, nakapag-almusal na po ba tayong lahat? So, put your finger down kung nakapag-almusal na po tayo. Ako po ay nakapag-almusal na, so I will put my thumb finger down. Alright, so ayan, mukhang marami-rami po ang nakapag-almusal na. We sure hope na we have taken our breakfast po, no? Because breakfast is truly the most important meal of today. And in preparation na rin po, no, of the activities that are set for all of us today. So for the second question, ito po, please be honest po, pero wala naman pong no judgment. Second question, nakaligo na po ba tayong lahat? Also po, for those cameras po are not open, may I request po to please open your cameras po and join us with our morning exercise. Ayan, thank you very much po. I can now see all of your beautiful and handsome faces. Thank you very much, ma'am. Ayan, marami po ang nakaligo na. At meron po bang hindi pa nakakaligo? But again, no judgment po. No? Probably yung mga nasa bahay, talaga pong siguro po ay minsan diretso work po agad tayo. Alright, so for our third question, ito ma'am sir, nanalo na po ba tayo as early bird participant or KC winner sa day 1 and 2? Put your finger down kung meron na po tayong sure win special token from GPPB TSO. Ayan. Nasaan po ang ating 6 winners for day 1 and 2? Ayan. Sa mga hindi pa po, no, don't worry po because today might be the day. There's always hope po. No? And just the same, we too are hoping you receive our special token. And madami po ang nagtatanong, ano daw po ba ang special token natin? No? It may not be as grand as house and lot po, no? But we believe these special tokens will unleash or strengthen the procurement champions in our participant winners na parang nanalo na din po tayo ng house and lot, no? And for those who put their fingers down po, congratulations po again. And speaking of that, may I once again remind po to please shoot us a chat with the details needed for the sending and distribution of your respective special tokens. So thank you all very much po. And for our fourth question, ito po. Tama po ba ang format ng ating Zoom to put your finger down? But all you have to do now po is to show us a like or thumbs up naman po. Kung ready na po ba tayo for today's activities and learning session? Yan, ang dami pong like and thumbs up. And para po sa mga hindi pa po, ito maisingit ko lang po, para sa hindi pa nakakapag-like and follow to our official social media accounts po, no, please do like and our official Facebook page po, no, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and even follow us in our Twitter account at Government Procurement PH to be updated with the latest issuances and events of the GPP-BTSO. Also po, quick shout out to our Facebook Live viewers. Thank you all po very much for joining us today through our Facebook Live streaming. All right. Ayan, no? Thank you very much po sa lahat ng nag-participate from LGU, Sir LGU Burdeos, LGU San Isidro, LGU La Paz, LGU Aurora, and then and many more. So thank you all very much. So at this point po, before we dive in the actual lecture properly, of course, let us first have our early bird awardees for today. Congratulations po to our first early bird participant from LGU Pototan, Iloilo, Miss Mary Jade Zabala. Congratulations, ma'am. And for our second early bird participant, congratulations po to Miss Nelly Aguila from LGU Lemery, Batangas. Very much. I believe they logged in po an hour early po before our program or before the meeting po. Ayan, congratulations po once again on our event. Secretariat shall coordinate with you on how you may claim your special token. Also, please accomplish po, very important reminder, please accomplish the participants' daily attendance day 3 yung for today po by clicking the link provided by our event secretariat po through the Zoom chat box. Rest assured that all information provided shall be treated with utmost discretion and confidentiality. So at this juncture po, allow me to just have a quick recap of yesterday's learning session. We had a very much productive learning session on procurement planning and budget linkage, including early procurement activities, where we had an extensive discussion on the fundamentals of procurement planning, where we highlighted the project procurement management plan and annual procurement plan. Towards the end of the lecture proper, we had an in-depth discussion on the scope and applications of the conduct of early procurement activities, led of course by our resource speaker, Director Mark Louis Martin. Today po, no, I am ecstatic because we are now on the 4th learning session of this virtual event, which is an entire session on standard bidding procedures for goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services. Ayan po, no? We are now midway towards the end of our virtual event, and we hope po na napupuno na ang ating mga notepads with all of the information that we have discussed over the past days. And now po that all is set, no, I wouldn't keep you any longer. Please allow me to introduce to you with great pleasure this learning session's resource speaker. Our resource speaker for today is currently the Regional Director of Department of Budget and Management, Regional Office 12, and currently the Depot Supervising Officer of the Procurement Service, Coronadal Regional Depot. He is one of the recognized trainers of the Government Procurement Policy Board and DBM Pool of Trainers on Public Financial Management, including budgeting and internal audit. He is also an accredited trainer on PhilJEPS. He is part of the technical teams who developed the Budget Operations Manual and Primers for LGU, Internal Audit Manual, and Electronic Budgeting System for LGUs. He is a Career Executive Service Officer, 3, and a Certified Public Accountant. He recently completed a diploma course in Organizational Development under the Australia Awards and Alumni Engagement Program, Philippines. He also finished Masters in Business Administration. He is presently the President of the Association of Regional Development Executives 12, an Association of Regional Directors in Region 12. Joining us today, the Regional Director of the Department of Budget and Management, Regional Office 12, and the GPPB recognized speaker. Please welcome Director Ahmad J. Usman.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Monica. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It means peace, blessings, and mercy of the Almighty be upon you. Again, I'd like to thank the GPPB for giving me a chance to take part in this training program. And I'm always excited to share our experience, and not just how we understand the provisions of RA 9184 and its 2016 implementing rules and regulations. More than that, is really to understand the rationale, the intention of the law. Sometimes we know exactly the meaning of the law, but we do not know the implications or the relevance, no, as we try to procure the necessary goods, services, contract for infra projects, as well as consulting services in order to support the implementation of the program's projects and activities. Let me start by saying how important is the procurement, especially for next year, that you'll be having additional allotment, no, because of the mandanas. I think LGUs will enjoy 30 plus, no? Initially 38.7%, and then eventually because of the application of the recent census of population, no? Some LGUs bumaba po yung kanilang national tax allotment. Nevertheless, we estimate that 40 to 60% of your budget would involve procurement, and therefore it covers substantial part of your operations. Now, it's good to have the previous topic, the procurement planning, because I personally, based on my experience, look this standard bidding procedures as very straightforward process. Although the rules and the policies are very dynamic in order to adapt, no, to fast-changing environment, including the modern technology that we have right now. But as I look at the process, napakadali lang po siya. No? Parang straightforward lang po yung rules. Nilimit po yung discretion ng Bids and Awards Committee, as well as provided na po lahat, even the documentary requirements as contained in the checklist, no, included in the 6th edition of Philippine bidding documents. Makita po ninyo, parang madali na lang kasi presence or absence, etc., etc. Second, I'd like to also reiterate, siguro we have to really influence the mindset of the participants. We know that you also have the experience since you've been engaged in actual procurement. I'd like to share with you some of the notions or understanding about the procurement law. And I'd like to know what would be your reaction. Ano ho yung feeling po ninyo? Is this statement true or not? Or ano ho yung magiging take ho ninyo sa mga statements ho na babanggitin ko? Would that be okay? Can you confirm, participants, if that's okay for you? If you can ask some questions or make some statement, at hingin ko po yung thumbs up po ninyo or whether you agree or not. Okay po ba yun? Can you show me your thumbs up? Can you hear me? Yeah, very good. Thank you. From LG Aurora. Okay, so let's start. Thank you very much. Yeah, pati si Ma'am John, no, excited na rin dun sa questions. So these are the notions. No? These are the common statements made by some of the procurement practitioners. No? If not all. Lalo na yung wala pa talagang clear understanding about the provisions of the IRR and RA 9184. So let's start. They say, okay, procurement law causes delay or non-implementation of programs, projects, and activities in the local government units. Is it true? Totoo ba itong sinasabi po nila? Na yun daw pong procurement law, the procurement law per se, or the rules, cause delay in the implementation of the programs, projects, and activities. Can I show your reaction? You can type in your comments whether you agree or not in the chat box. Okay. True. See? Galing. Yeah, thank you. From LG Aurora. See. Any more reaction from the participants? So yung iba medyo dinadigest pa yung question. Depende. Yeah, it's a good reaction. Yeah, depende. Depende. Well, we say, or I say, diba, as discussed by the previous speaker in the procurement planning, no, lecture, poor or lack of planning causes a lot of problems during the implementation. So, di ba? It's not the procurement procedure or the bidding procedure that hinders or that causes delay in the implementation or that hinders the award of contract. No, it was established even in the APCPI conducted in 2011 and 2012, I think, and continuously lumalabas pa rin po. And in the focus discussions initiated by the GPPB Technical Support Office, lumalabas po talaga. It's the lack of planning. No? Pag hindi mo magandang specs, hindi mo inaral yung approved budget for the contract, pag hindi mo inaral yung schedule of activities, etc. And if the Bids and Awards Committee are not familiar or aware of the requirements of the procurement, nagkakaproblema during the implementation. So, okay. Second statement, they say that the procurement law focuses on getting cheaper, lowest di ba? But of low quality goods and services. Is it true? Let me repeat. They say that the procurement law focuses on getting cheaper, but of low quality goods and services. Okay? Yan. Sumugat na po? No? Okay. No, very good. Yan. Natutuwa ho ako dyan sa mga sagot po. Consistently. And the other part, very good. From Bordios, LG Bordios. From Agoncillo, no. From Erosin, no. Yan. Lalos lato nagsasabi ng no. Sana ho, mapanindigan ho natin yung sagot natin. Joke lang po yun. I say, sacred na dapat ho ma-apply ho natin is what we call competition. So the specs is provided by the procuring entity, and when the bidders will compete to meet the specifications while offering the best price, then we get value for money, right? And we have that term called lowest calculated and responsive bid. No? So we should comply with our requirements. And the first thing that we have to check is really whether or not their technical proposals are compliant with our required specifications or requirements before we open the financial proposal or the bid, diba? So meron ho tayong LCRB for goods, and we have the HRRB, highest rated and responsive bid, no? At least medyo familiar na ho kayo sa term na ito, as these were presented during the Procurement 101. Another statement. They say that the procurement law is cumbersome. Napaka-toxic nung process. Do you agree? Do you agree? Sabi po nila, false. Very good. Okay. Yan. Natutuwa ko sa mukhang yung mga participants natin ngayon ay meron talagang substantive experience, no, in the procurement kasi nakita nila itong mga issues na ito. For you guys, i-update po namin kayo na lang. No? So yun yung magiging role natin right now. Yung mga first-timers po natin, we will guide them with the right perspective as they do actual procurement. No? Particularly the application of the standard bidding procedures. False. Very good. We say that procurement process is already streamlined and made simple and convenient, but it should be efficient. No? Nakita naman ho yan, no? Na during the crafting of the IRR as well as in the updating of this. No? But notwithstanding, the procuring entity shall ensure that government contract entered as a result of procurement is always at the most advantageous to the government. No? Let's take note of that. No? May responsibility kasi tayo to really, when we enter into contract with a supplier, dapat yung kontrata yun is always for the interest of the public or the government. No? Another statement, BAC Secretariat and Technical Working Group are more knowledgeable than the Bids and Awards Committee when it comes to procurement. Is it true? Can you confirm if this is true? Yun yung sinasabi ng iba, no? Sabi po nila, oftentimes, yeah, good. Sige. So, we say, all of them, yeah, that's the reality, that's the actual situation. But the ideal should be, all of them should be expert or should have expertise in procurement, no? In order to discharge or perform their functions. Because you cannot perform your function if you do not know what you're supposed to do, di ba? So it's basic, no? The Bids and Awards Committee should not rely on the BAC Secretariat, on the capacity of the BAC Secretariat as well as the Technical Working Group. Another statement. They say bidders are one step ahead of the procuring entity, no, on government procurement. Is it true? Sometimes mas magaling pa, marunong pa yung mga bidders ho natin. Minsan tinuturuan pa ho tayo. At may mga situation pa like they will try to insist on certain provision of the IRR na bago, tapos itong si Bids and Awards Committee hindi ho siya updated. Tapos tuturuan po kayo ng bidders. Totoo ba yun? Chismis lang naman po ito. No? Yeah. Yan, true daw. Sometimes, I want to know sumasagot ng sometimes. Yan, yeah. Yeah, procurement, we say that procurement process, okay. Government contract is very lucrative on the part of the bidders. That's one. That's one reality. And so they will do everything in order to influence or even harass talaga ang term, coerce you, hire lawyers to file a case against you. And sometimes hindi related dun sa procurement procedures na ginawa ho ninyong kaso. Pangharas po yun pag yung tinutumbok na yung mga members ng Bids and Awards Committee. Forum shopping po yun. No? Pupunta sila kay Ombudsman kasi meron daw arbitrary, no, application of the rules. Minsan ganun, no, yung ginagawa. So they will do everything just to influence your decision. No? Wag ho kayo mag-influensya. Napakaganda ho ng batas. Marami hong safeguards na hindi ho kayo basta mahabla. One of which is yung protest mechanism natin. Medyo tingin natin hindi ho nila basta-basta kumbaga madali lang on their part just to do it for the sake of getting the contract from you. They say that why not adapt a procurement process that is simple and more convenient? Diba mas gusto natin yun, diba? Why not, no? But the existing government procurement process is already streamlined and public officials and employees should always uphold the public interest above personal interest. And finally, no, they say that in order to prevent corruption, we prevent procurement. May mga nagsasabi ng ganyan. Para walang corruption, wala na lang procurement, no? Mas lalo magkakaroon ng problema po, no? So, with that, again, this is very important. This topic is one of ito ho yung hinahanap ho ng ating mga procurement practitioners, especially the Bids and Awards Committee. No? Now, allow me to share now my screen. Ano pong nakikita ninyo? Can you confirm if we can see my presentation? Is it on the presentation mode already? Can anyone confirm? O yung my notes? Ma'am Faye, you can unmute yourself. Sige. Nakaka-unmute ka ba? Can anyone confirm? Sige, duplicate na lang natin ito.
Director, from my end po, we can see the presenters mode po.
Sandali Thank you, Ma'am Monica. What about this one? Okay na?
Yes po, that's it. Apo.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Monica. Sige po. So we will be discussing the standard bidding procedures for goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services. So I think the three categories of procurement as to the object, no, were thoroughly presented to you and discussed, no? We need to we need to understand and siguro we will be able to classify kung ano ho yung pinoprocure ho natin, kung goods ba yan, infrastructure projects ba yan, or consulting services, because they have different requirements. As to procedures, we have no problem between goods and infrastructure. They have totally the same procedures from pre-procurement up to award of contract, no problem. Meron lang kaibahan on the maximum period that we need to observe from the last day of posting up to the deadline for submission. So goods is 45, sa infra naman either 50 or 65. But between the procedures to be applied for goods and infra and consulting services, merong additional steps or may kaibahan ho dun sa process. So that's why it's very important for us to distinguish whether we are procuring goods or contracting for infrastructure projects or consulting services. So I think that was thoroughly discussed. But before we begin presenting to you the objectives as well as the coverage or the outline of this presentation, I'd like to go back again on the importance of procurement planning. Let me show you a graph, no, that will somehow give you an idea on what is happening right now and what is supposedly being done by the procuring entities. In this graph, in the y-axis, you can see the effort being invested or the time invested by the procuring entities when they do procurement. And we will plot this procurement effort or focus in the three major activities or procurement activities. So we have procurement planning, di ba pinresent mo yung procurement paradigm po sa inyo, di ba? Sa procurement planning and even in the procurement 101, I suppose. It constitutes the identification of what we are supposed to buy. Dalawa po yun palagi. Ako, ang sinasabi ko palagi, ang guide para mas simple po. When we identify what we are supposed to buy, number one is the day-to-day requirement or operations, day-to-day requirements of our operation. Ito po yung office supplies, etc. The other one is a component of the programs that we are in charge of implementing or executing, no? Ito yung mga PPAs na kung saan yung opisina po natin yung magmamanage in the implementation. So, yung component ng activities in order to implement these activities, say training, say for livelihood items, no? Say for example, yung mga infra projects under our programs, yun po nakasama po doon sa mga items na kailangan ho nating ma-identify properly. So that's the first quadrant. And the second quadrant is just the review or the assessment of these items na na-identify po ng end user. So that's basically the procurement planning phase, no? And if you look at the actual, and you also have the selection process, which covers the procurement, the actual procurement, and the actual implementation or the contract management. So if you look at the actual practice of the procuring entities, they invest less. Medyo hindi masyado binibigyan ng pansin yung procurement planning, which again, yesterday was emphasized na dapat dito ho tayo tumututok talaga. So minsan gumagawa tayo ng PPMP, di ba? Nasa first quadrant po yan. Tapos kino-consolidate to annual procurement plan for compliance sake, no? Hindi masyado siya because we want to know really what is the requirements, what should be the specifications, no, what should be the approved budget for the contract, where to buy, what's the right source, no? Di ba sabi natin value for money, we buy goods and services with the right quantity with the right quality in right quantity at right source at the right time, etc. No, 5 po yun, no, yung 5 rights of the procurement in order to achieve value for money. So, yung 1 and 2, medyo mababa po yung time or yung focus natin. And so the tendency is pag inaral yung mga requirements po natin, pagdating po dun sa actual bidding process or procurement process, we encounter a lot of problems, no? Doon po nagkakaroon po ng failure of bidding kasi masyado mababa yung ABC or yung specifications is not updated, etc., etc. All these things are causing our actual procurement, no, nadidelay po, hindi ho effective yung procurement po natin. And after that, pag na-award na po yung contract, minsan, yung mga LGUs, hindi na ho sila nagfo-focus on the monitoring of the implementation. Good if you have the project monitoring, no, committee, no? Isa rin po yan na in place na. But sometimes itong project monitoring committees natin are focused on infra projects. Dapat program-based po siya. Even the activities should be properly monitored. Okay lang kung may monitoring na yan. Basically, medyo maganda-ganda na po yung magiging implementation natin ng PPAs. But what if wala rin ho tayong monitoring? And worse, minsan yung mga procuring entities, hindi ho sila nag-evaluate, no? Pagkatapos po ng implementation, okay lang. Hindi natin na-realize that it's very important to understand also, no, kung ano yung mga difficulties, ano yung naging problems, bakit hindi yung naging effective yung ating implementation of the activities, which is actually needed in the, kasi cycle pa rin ito, hindi naman ito, di ba, one stop lang, then everything is done. Kasi every year, continuing business po, operation yung local government unit. And we expect that we might encounter the same programs, projects, and activities. So if you want to improve really, we look at the previous experience. So ito po yung traditional. Okay? We usually invest less as to time, effort. No? Nagmi-meeting lang tayo once lang. PPMP is made for compliance purpose, di ba? And then actual procurement, nagkakaproblema. Minsan umabot ng 2 months, 1 quarter, just for the procurement alone or the conduct of the bidding. And we tend to, again, find fault on the process, but actually hindi pala natin napaghandaan yung procurement. And then pagdating sa implementation naman, hindi tayo masyadong nakafocus. So what should be the case? If you want value for money, we have to invest a lot of effort. And I would advise you, especially kung meron ho tayo dito mga budget officers, or whoever no, is in charge of managing the finance, the planning development coordinator or officer, institutionalize natin yung procurement planning by requiring all the end users to submit the PPMP and then the annual procurement plan as part of the requirements in the budget preparation. No? When they submit the budget proposal from the end users, they have to include the PPMPs and the APPs. In the national government, isa ho sa criteria namin when we evaluate the proposals of the national government agencies, yung pong implementation readiness, meaning you have to prove to us first na nagawa ho ninyo yung study first, the market study and your requirements for complex na mga projects, we require the feasibility study. In the absence of the PPMP and the annual procurement plan, no, we try to not prioritize these proposals kasi mas gusto natin when we grant or provide the funds, ready na po yung project to be implemented. And this can be adapted to in the case of the local government units. So that during the actual procurement, madali na lang po kasi naaral na yung ABC, naaral na rin po yung specifications. And we also have to invest our time in the monitoring and evaluation. One of the weaknesses now of the government, not only the local government units, wala tayong magaling na monitoring and evaluation. So in the end, year in, year out, the same issues crop up and we face the same problems. Samantalang na-encounter na natin yan before. So parang naging vicious cycle lang po siya. So with that, again, I'd like to emphasize that the procurement process is very simple. Very simple in the sense of straightforward po siya. Wala ho tayo masyadong kwan dito, hindi ho tayo dito nag-iisip masyado, hindi katulad sa procurement planning na talagang the rule says that we have to be judicious and meticulous when we do procurement planning. Sa procurement process, non-discretionary, pass or fail lang ginagamit natin, nilimit na nga, halos wala na nga discretion. I will discuss that later on. Okay, so, di ba, dagdag yan sa objective natin. Hindi lang, kesyo, yan yung procedure, but we need to understand. Kasi by understanding the concepts and the principles being observed, mas lalo ho nating ma-achieve yung pinaka-purpose natin that in the end, we will have or we will enter into contract that is most advantageous on the part of the government. Yan ho palagi yung objective natin. Dapat ma-implement natin yung activities by getting the right goods and services to support that activity. Ika nga, pag hindi maganda yung input, di ba, input kasi yan dun sa activity natin. Whatever is na-procure natin is actually the input to activities. So pag hindi maganda yung input, hindi rin maganda yung output because the output depends on the quality of the input. Otherwise stated, garbage in, garbage out. So we really have to do good procurement, particularly, especially the procurement planning. So we will cover the following general principles and considerations, procurement procedures and requirements for goods and services, infrastructure projects, and consulting services. So let's start with the general principles. It says, during your Procurement 101, and as provided in Section 10, Article 4 of Republic Act 9184, the general rule is, or the primary mode of procurement is through competitive bidding. No? All procurement shall be undertaken through public bidding, open/public or competitive bidding. The term itself, open, meaning open to all potential. Competitive, because we can expect competition if it's open to everyone, right? Para maintindihan natin, open, competitive bidding, or public. It's open to public. So there's competition. You can expect a lot of competition. And I will tell you what's the importance of competition later on. So that's one. We have to bear in mind that all procurement, regardless of the amount, regardless of the situation, we have to do it through public bidding. That's non-negotiable. If you ask the lawyers, para sigurado ho, hindi ho kami basta-basta magka-problema, yung sinasabi ho nating liabilities, administrative, criminal, no? What should we do? They will advise you. You stick with the general rule. But of course, the law acknowledges that not in all situations that we can apply competitive bidding, especially if the objective is really to deliver activities or programs that will address the needs of our constituents. Sa LGUs, we ought to deliver basic services. So hindi ho sa lahat ng pagkakataon, sabi ng batas, o ina-acknowledge po niyo yung fact na hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon, it is effective, it is efficient, or it is beneficial to use competitive bidding. That's why meron siyang exception to the general rule. And that is provided in the alternative. The term itself talagang exemption kasi alternative Diyan pa lang sa dalawang terms na yun, makikita natin that the general rule is really competitive bidding and the exemption is the alternative. For example, state of emergency or calamity. Mahirap po kung mag-competitive bidding tayo if you're going to observe all the procedures of the competitive bidding. Because at the earliest possible time, makukompleto natin makapag-award po tayo 26 calendar days, right? So mahirap po yun kasi nga i-address natin yung mga pangangailangan po natin to respond to a particular situation, halimbawa po yung calamity, earthquake, etc. or bagyo, and yet nagpo-procure ka pa lang, malaking damage na po ang mangyayari po. Hindi lang ho dun sa property, but of course, the life of our constituents or our people. That's why sinasabi ng rules, pwede naman negotiated procurement emergency cases. Or, for example, the law acknowledges na, paano sir, kung isa lang yung supplier, di ba? Walang substitute, walang alternatives. Wala naman talagang competition nun kasi wala nang mag-offer pa na iba. So, it's very impossible or impractical to still use competitive bidding whereas isa lang yung magpa-participate. So sabi ng rules, kung isa lang talaga yung source and there's no substitute, o walang alternative, then you can do direct contracting, di ba? Or, syempre magre-reklamo yung procuring entities. Napaka-impractical naman kung, di ba, kung mag-procure kami, ang amount lang worth lang nung goods na ipo-procure namin ay 1,000 pesos. Pag-prepare pala ng bidding documents, yung time na spent namin dyan is more than 1,000 pesos, di ba? And then the process, no? So, magpa-public bidding pa ba kami kung 1,000 pesos lang yung ABC? So, the law acknowledges that. Kaya nga sabi niya, huwag ng competitive bidding. Small value na lang. Or shopping fee. No? Or, habang nagbibiyahe kayo, di ba? Nasiraan, magpa-public bidding po kayo, tatawagan niyo yung Bids and Awards Committee, i-publish ho ninyo ito. No? Gumawa ako kayo ng bidding documents kasi naplatan ho kami. No? Kailangan ho namin paayos yung sasakyan o nasira ho yung battery namin, di na umaandar. So it will be very impractical. No? Katawa-tawa ho yun na sitwasyon. So even if there's a general rule, yun naman ang sinasabi natin, which is competitive bidding, the exemption is alternative method. But please bear in mind this requirement. No? So the general rule is competitive bidding. The moment we deviate from competitive bidding and resort to alternative method, the burden to justify why did we resort to alternative method rests upon the Bids and Awards Committee. Take note, Bids and Awards Committee. But of course, the Bids and Awards Committee can even require the end users. Bakit gusto mo ba ng alternative method? For example, kung gusto mo ng direct contracting, you have to prove to us na nakasatisfy mo yung conditions. Because the rule says, you can only resort to alternative method in exceptional cases when it promotes efficiency and economy and justified by the conditions or warranted by the conditions prescribed under the rules. So meron siyang specific conditions for every alternative method that you have to satisfy before you can use a particular alternative method. So tandaan po natin yun. Hindi ho baliktad yan. No? Dapat ang palaging nasa isip po natin competitive bidding ho is the general rule. Now, sir, why are you insisting? Or why is it that the rules recognizes that competitive bidding is still the best mode of procurement? So then on the next slide, no less the Supreme Court acknowledges this. Sabi ho ng Supreme Court in one of its decisions, when you do competitive bidding, it aims to protect public interest by providing possible advantages through open competition. Now take note, dito na-mention niya na na pag competitive bidding, there is open competition. So sir, ano bang relevance or significance? Why do you have to promote competition? Or why do you have to consider really as competition as one of the principles, no, na kailangan mo nating ma-observe in the process? Because competition will lead to best price or for the procuring entity to get products and services with best quality and best price. Di ba yun yung definition ng value for money? Sulit siya in the sense na you will get the best product with the best price. So competition, no? If you look at it, the situation where there's no competition, pagbabalik na rin ho ninyo yung sitwasyon, talo po si buyer, di ba tayo yung buyer, government agencies or procuring entities, panalo po si suppliers or si seller. Because the seller would tend to dictate the conditions of the sale including the price. Why? Wala kang choice eh. Siya lang yung nagbebenta. So kung walang competition, ito rin yung dapat you have to realize that when you insist on a particular brand that tends to defeat competition, what will happen? Siguro in short term, okay pa yan, no? But later on, no, kung doon ka lang nagsasubscribe, problema yan. Pwede nilang taasan yung presyo, pwede rin mag-decline yung kanilang the quality of their products. A good example, yung telcos natin. Ako, confident kong sabihin yan. Pag wala hong competition dyan, ako, patay ho tayo, no? Tataasan nila yung presyo, wala kang choice. Eh. Kaya nga, dinadagdagan pa natin yung players natin sa telecommunications because in order to have competition. Then another one. On the other side, if there's competition, if you observe yung automobile industry ho natin, grabe ang competition, right? Pumasok na yung China and still, nandyan pa rin yung mga big players ho natin. Ano nakikita natin? Pa-improve yung features ng mga sasakyan, pero yung presyo nandun pa rin sa level na affordable. Kino-consider pa rin ano yung affordable price po ng ating mga consumers, right? Diba? So kita ho ninyo kung ano-ano ng mga features pinipresent ho ng mga manufacturers natin, and yet the price is still very competitive. So alam ho natin that with competition, yung buyers or consumers ay mas advantageous po on their part, no? Yun po yun. Alam nyo ba na if you are to consider this particular decision or idea being espoused by the Supreme Court, how do we operationalize this? It's better to understand this by comparing competitive bidding with the alternative methods. Tingnan natin paano natin ito ma-realize. Kasi sabi niya dito, this can be achieved through open competition. For public bidding, no, you are required to advertise or post your invitation to bid for at least 7 calendar days or 7 calendar days, right? For alternative method, hindi kailangan except for some, no? Yung small value, shopping bid, no? Okay, or two-field biddings, 3 calendar days lang. No? Compare the two, dito sa public bidding, you promote number 1, transparency. Number 2, competition because mas mahaba yung panahon na ini-inform mo yung mga suppliers mo to participate or to submit their proposals. Mas mahaba yung panahon na ma-inform sila. No? Although pag pinuso ninyo yan sa PhilDeps, nanonotify naman po yan. But doon pa lang may diferensya na. No? So makita mo kagad pag public bidding lamang siya. So this will also explain bakit ganun yung mga requirements po natin. Pangalawa po, in public bidding, you're required to invite observers. Although nag-invite pa rin naman tayo for some alternative method, but most of the alternative methods, hindi na po tayo, hindi na po requirement yung pag-invite ng observers. And we said that requirement yan because of the public monitoring. And it's good to have third lens na mag-observe po sa process because it adds credibility or integrity. Aside from the fact that if there are only 2 parties that would to make the process credible and hindi basta-basta ho sila gagawa ng kanumang agreement, no, that will tend to risk the public interest, dapat meron hong independent observer, di ba? Dito sa public bidding, requirement ho yung pag-invite ng observers to monitor the conduct of the procurement as well as the implementation of the project. So, meron kang public monitoring dito sa alternative method, wala. No? Meron naman for some. Another one, accountability. Accountability, in order to ensure that the Bids and Awards Committee as well as the suppliers, no, directly or indirectly involved, answerable to their actions. Ito sa public bidding, kailangan mong i-observe even the mandatory timelines. Sabi ng Supreme Court, dapat i-observe yan kasi mandatory yan. Hindi yan directory, hindi yan guide lang. Dapat sundin mo talaga pag sinabi ng rules na pwede ka lang mag-conduct ng pre-bid conference on the 8th day, no, after the 7 calendar day period of advertisement. Dapat you have to comply. Failure to do that, di siyempre, pwedeng magkaroon ng defect yung procurement mo and the ensuing contract to be defective. So yun ho yung magiging problema po niyan pag wala po tayong accountability. And this is present sa public bidding. Meron din naman somehow accountability. But if you compare the level of accountability, no, as far as public bidding is concerned compared to alternative method, mas mataas po sa public bidding. Then another one, dito, standard yung process or procedures, no? Sa public bidding, streamlined process. And that is adopted because we need to promote again the same processes, no? Kahit sino hong nagpo-procure, whether you are a barangay, municipality, province, you are actually using the same procedure. And that is very important again to promote competition. No? So, pag hindi natin na-observe yung process na yan, again, baka ho ma-declare yan ni head of the procuring entity under Section 41, the back has failed. Huwag ho tayong kumpiyansa kasi ibig sabihin ho nun, remiss po yung Bids and Awards Committee to perform their functions. So in short, all the governing principles can be achieved or properly operationalized when we do public bidding. Later on, you will see in the process the reasons. Bakit ho ganun ho yung timeline? Bakit ho may process na ganun? Yun ho yung possible, no, na intention po. Okay? Then another consideration, no? It was mentioned also during the Procurement 101 and yesterday that all procurement shall be in accordance with the approved annual procurement plan. And the moment we deviate from the provisions of the annual procurement plan, kailangan ma-update po natin, either we issue the supplemental or we issue the updated annual procurement plan, no, approved by the head of the procuring entity. So for example, if the method of procurement reflected on the original annual procurement plan is public bidding and we want to conduct it, no, through
Recording
alternative
stopped.
method. Okay. Can you still hear me? Can anyone confirm?
Recording in progress.
Can anyone confirm if I'm still audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, if in the original annual procurement plan, ang nakalagay po ay public bidding and you want to conduct it, for example, negotiated procurement agency to agency, no? Nag-decide ka na, idaan na lang sa PS, yan, controversial. Anyways, so, you still have to issue resolution, no? The Bids and Awards Committee has to issue resolution. Doon po ilalagay na lang natin yung reason why do we have to use alternative method para pag nag-submit ho tayo kay Commission on Audit, we don't have to explain kasi nandun na mismo sa resolution. Why are we or why did we resort from public bidding to alternative method? So we have to issue a resolution, issue the supplemental annual procurement plan or update the annual procurement plan, and this should be approved by the head of the procuring entity. You should be careful on this requirement because some of the cases being filed against back members because they deviated from the annual procurement plan and they never updated, no? Natapos na yung transactions, akala nila okay na, lumusot na sa Commission on Audit. But if there's someone, no, who will complain, yung pinrocure ninyo halimbawa na heavy equipment is not reflected in the annual procurement plan, no? You might be liable even if tapos na po yung transaction. So in the pre-procurement conference, one of the things that you have to really consider is whether or not that item of procurement is in accordance with the annual procurement plan. This is again non-negotiable. Okay, so we need to understand what are goods and services. So I think this was properly defined or described during the procurement one. Ano ho itong mga goods and services? So basically, these are tangible items, movable or immovable, no? Transferable or what. No? So when we say tangible items, this will include office supplies, equipment, furniture, etc. No? Kung nakikita man po natin ginagamit ho natin na items, it will fall under goods and services. Okay? It also includes services. So when we say goods, it includes services, no? Yung general support services, the likes of janitorial, security, no? General services, okay? Ano pa ho dyan? It also includes analogous related services like lease of office space, no? Mga ganun. It also includes subscriptions and licenses, yung mga software ho na binibili, or for example, for Adobe or for Microsoft or even for itong Zoom natin na subscriptions, no? Kasama po yan. Yung telecommunications ho natin, internet, kasama din po yan sa goods and services. Okay. So what about infra? Infra, if you look at the definition, it includes constructions, improvements, repair, rehabilitation. And if you see the pictures or the icons, these items are also tangible, although these are permanently attached. And take note, for infra projects, we always consider that if there's works involved, no? May mobilization, demobilization, may earth filling, merong concreting, may masonry, etc. So kung meron siyang works component, even if these are tangible, permanently attached sa land, yan po ay infrastructure projects. May mga times po na mixed procurement po yan, meron siyang goods component, basta meron yung works, so yan, we consider that as infrastructure projects. Meron din po yung nature niya, for example, the installation of the elevators, di ba? Could also be goods kung ipapadeliver natin at sila na mag-install yung supplier. So that's goods. But mostly, no, pag nagpapa-install tayo ng elevators, it will, no, affect the structural or the structure of the building, no? So papasok na ho sa goods kasi mapapalitan ho yung ating structure. So that yung pong determination whether goods po yan or infra is based on the intent and the nature of the item. So infrastructure. We also have the consulting services. These are highly technical or professional services. So binibili ho natin dito is the expertise or the technical knowledge, no, na hindi po available, no, sa procuring entity or among the personnel of the procuring entity. So it includes advisory, review services. Siguro sa local government units ang common dito yung feasibility study. Feasibility study on the construction of roads, flood control projects, or even the establishment of the economic enterprise, the local economic enterprise. So we really encourage the LGUs, but before you establish the LEE, dapat meron po siyang feasibility study. And that is required under the local budget circular 100 and 100-A, no? Kasi titingnan ho natin yung whether or not profitable yung business na yan, whether or not this LEE will eventually support its own operation. So magiging ano po siya, no? Self-sustaining na entity, no? Hindi dapat kasi ang idea natin we establish LEE for the sake of transferring the personnel para ma-exempt sa personal services because the local government code says so, no? So ang intention natin diyan pag mag-LEE po tayo, dapat may sarili siyang income, hindi ho siya dependent on the subsidy of the local government units or from the general fund. So consulting services would also include the design and construction supervision. So the services involved, no, in order to supervise, provide the necessary designs and plans for infrastructure service. This is included consulting services. Iba po yung design and bid kasi it's a one project, no, package where we think that the intention really is to construct something. Kaya even design and build, may component po siya na consulting, it is considered infrastructure projects kasi ang intent natin is to have that structure. Although isinama natin yung design para hindi na ho tayo mahirapan na ipagawa, no, gawin yung mga necessary plans, drawings, and designs. And other technical studies, management and related services. Now, you might ask, Sir, sabi mo kanina, merong services si goods. Anong kaibahan sa consulting? So, simple lang. Yun ay labor-based, yung isa, meaning, pwedeng gawin yung trabaho, pwede pa rin siya ma-deliver without really requiring a particular person to do it. Sa consulting, we are giving, no, focus on the expertise. Kaya hindi basta o hindi pwedeng papalitan yung consultant kasi siya yung mga pag-deliver nun based on our evaluation. So yung isa highly technical, yung isa ay general support in nature. Okay? So our bidding procedures involve single stage, two envelope system. Meron din pong two stage. But here, our focus is the single stage, two envelope system. No? So in the manual submission, I know you're very familiar. The bidders would prepare two envelopes. The first envelope would contain the technical proposals, which would include the eligibility documents. And the financial contains the bid, no? Or the financial proposal. No? And magkano po yung kanyang offer. And then we place it in one envelope and then they submit. No? We will discuss later on how they will prepare their bids as well as how many copies are required. We can allow now the submission through electronic means. Ganun din po yung concept or the policy, no? Single stage, two files or rather two folders. Kasi usually pag pag electronic yan, sinisave natin sa folder. But the folder or the files should be password protected. Pareho din naman yung concept because in the manual submission, they have to seal para hindi yung nabubuksan yan. Properly seal the envelope. Sa electronic naman, hindi mo naman masisil yun. Ang equivalent nun is to assign password to these files or to this folder. So, the same concept is being applied in the electronic submission. Okay, ganun pa rin po, file or folder for technical, file or folder for financial, and then we again save it into another file or folder. Now, who are eligible bidders? Who are eligible to bid? One, of course, duly licensed Filipino citizens or sole proprietorships. There's no question about that. They can always participate in the bidding procedures. What about corporations? So corporations, of course, kung owned by the Filipinos, fully owned by the Filipinos, wala tayong problema. But what if, syempre, may mga corporations na tangayan na may mga foreign interest na tinatawag. So up to 40% lang ho yung interest ho nila. The Filipinos should have 60% interest or ownership in that corporation. 60-40. Sir, what if the interest will go beyond 40%? Pwede pa rin po yun, pero under the exemption na po yun. Later on, we'll tackle that. No? Cooperatives duly organized under the laws of the Philippines. Partnership organized, provided at least 60% Filipino interest or ownership. Joint venture with at least 60% Filipino interest or ownership. So, take note lang po, 60-40 lang po. Filipino, 60, foreign ownership is 40. But, sabi ko nga, may mga exemptions. If the foreign bidders can still participate if provided in the treaty or international or executive agreement. For example, there's a grant that magpo-procure si Government of the Philippines, walang mention, for example, or even a mention to use the RA 9184, but there's a provision there or agreement, kasama sa agreement, na dapat it should also be open to foreign bidders. So po pwede po yun. The other exception is that kung wala pong local suppliers talaga, or in order to avoid yung pong monopoly or yung pong to restrain yung trade, no, para may iwasan po yung mga situation na ganun, we can actually allow the foreign bidders. Or if there is, if that foreign country grants reciprocal rights to Filipino suppliers, meaning if our suppliers here, Filipino suppliers, can also participate in the procurement of that particular country, provided in their laws or in the rules nila po doon, then we can also allow the participation of their nationals here in our country. Okay? Reciprocity rights. Just take note, yung dati pong 75-25 particularly for infra, ngayon with the recent issuance po ng executive order, 60-40 na rin po, even for infra. So lahat po yan, goods, infra, 60-40 po. So partnership, again, duly organized under the laws of the Philippines with at least 60% interest belongs to Filipino citizens. Corporation, again, at least 60% pa rin po. Or persons or entities forming themselves into a joint venture. When to hire for consultants naman sa consulting services. Again, when we hire consultants, we actually looking at the expertise the experience and the capability of our consultants. Yun po yun, no? Yun yung pinaprocure natin. We might consider cost, but later on you will see that there are two types of evaluation: quality-based and the quality cost-based evaluation. No? If our concern is really to find a consultant that can make for example, a technical study, we always consider the technical proposal. No? Disregarding the cost. No? Although meron pa rin hong approved budget for the contract. Pero mostly, pag consulting services, mas gusto natin na yung mga objectives ay mamimit po with the proposal of our consultants. And it's also important to note yung pong transfer of technology or the knowledge. Because based on our experience, minsan itong component na ito hindi na isasama sa terms of reference. So for example, pag nagpapagawa tayo ng IT systems, hindi ho tin-transfer or sinadmit sa atin yung codes, no? yung pong programming codes, no? Hindi ho natin na-update o hindi na ho natin na-maintain yung system, no? Source code, yung what I mean is the source code. Or if meron hong something na process na ginawa sila at hindi ho tayo tinrain on how to really study and update or upgrade the system, magkakaproblema tayo later on. So you have to take note, you have to consider as one of the requirements in the terms of reference, yung po them to grow, for them to learn, and for them to, you know, improve their expertise pag pinrovide po ninyo yung opportunity. Especially kung wala pa ho tayo masyadong experience on a particular technical study or technical process, no? So we always hire a Filipino consultant. So that's the number one priority. But there are cases still na hindi ho available yung expertise or hindi ho kakayanin ng local consultant ho natin. That's why they can partner, no, with foreign consultant. Yun ho yung number two. And if in case, no, wala talaga, hindi kakayanin, it's a new system, it's a new idea. Usually, pag confronted ho tayo ng wala ho tayong alam dito sa Philippines na may nakagawa na nun, halimbawa, magpapalipad ho tayo ng, ito medyo exaggerated ho, ng spaceship, wala pa tayong expertise niyan. Paano ba gumawa ng idea para gumawa ng shuttle, etc. So, mag-hire ho tayo ng foreign consultants, exaggerated. No? So, again, this was also presented to you, and I mentioned earlier the need to invite observers. No? At least 3 observers, one coming from the Commission on Audit, duly recognized private sector group, and one from the non-government organization or civil society organization. So take note, 3 po sila. No? Represented po yung public through these people. No? Si COA kasi government din, although independent din siya and duly recognized. One of the considerations in maintaining this particular policy is, again, because you want somebody who is independent and objective to observe the process. That's why, given this requirement, we maintain our position that we cannot grant any remuneration or honoraria for the observers, in order not to impair their independence or objectivity. Because the moment you grant honorarium, posibleng maiba po yung interest nila, why they will have to participate. Don't worry, if they're not attending or participating, ang requirement na lang naman ng rules ay they must be invited in writing at least 5 calendar days before the conduct of the activity. Dati po 3 calendar days yan. Kaya nagbabago yung rules natin kasi tinitingnan natin yung performance, kasi may mga nagsasabi, bakit ang bilis yung magbago ng rules? Kasi nakita natin, because of the actual implementation of these rules, may mga pagkukulang or meron pang room for improvement. So from 3 calendar days, ginawa siyang 5 calendar days because we observed that in the previous mga procurement, hindi sila nagpa-participate, and one of the reasons is hindi enough yung period of informing them. Yung invitation, minsan, di ba? 3 araw na lang, can you imagine, no? Saka mo pa sila i-invite. So this time, in-improve po siya to 5 calendar days. And in-identify na po under the 2016, what are the bidding activities that you need to invite them, no, to participate, no? 5 calendar days po, no? So yan. Again, ang requirement, the invitation, we invite them in writing and they receive the invitation for pre-bid conference, preliminary bid examination, bid evaluation, and post-qualification. Okay, there's a new circular requiring the procuring entities to provide online access or platform for the observers to participate. No? The requirement really is to have a feature or facility in the modernized field jobs that would allow this online participation or access. And when you conduct, for example, opening of bid, online lang po sila. But in the meantime that we are developing the modernized field jobs, not yet rolled out, we hope in the near future talagang maano nito because it's really a great help to have the modernized field jobs. No? The procuring entities have to provide online access to observers for monitoring all stages. And if in case the procuring entities, this is the requirement, kung hindi ho ninyo ma-provide yan, kailangan ho ninyong ma-inform si GPPB Technical Support Office through this email address observers@gppb.gov.ph. Again, if online access cannot be provided. So it's mandatory for you now to provide, for example, Google Meet, Zoom, WebEx, and other online platforms for them to participate. This will actually address the issue na hindi masyadong nagpa-participate yung mga, especially during this time, na hindi makapag-participate yung observers natin just because hindi sila makalabas or hindi sila makapunta sa opisina. No? And marami rin silang ginagawa. So this time, even if mag-multitasking po sila, they can now participate in your procurement. Ma'am, can we have the first knowledge check, Ma'am Monica?
Yes, sir. Thank you po, Director Ahmad. At this point, we reached our first knowledge check question po for today. But before that, maybe remind po our Zoom participants po to please keep your microphones muted so as not to disrupt po our lecture. So again, we'll be flashing our first knowledge check question through the Zoom polling feature, and all we have to do is to just choose the appropriate answers in the pop-up poll that shall be flashed in our screen. So maybe have our first knowledge check question po, please. And the question is, which of the following is not considered as goods? Letter A, analogous services. Letter B, subscription and licenses. Letter C, office equipment. Letter D, design and build. Or letter E, security and janitorial services.
I'm expecting everyone to get the right answer. Walang exemption. Joke lang.
Yes, Director po. No? For our Facebook Live viewers po, again, drop your answers to the Facebook Live comments section.
Yeah.
No, ayan. Quick shout out din po tayo. Good morning po to Sir Randy Asotas from LGU San Isidro, Northern Samar, and to Sir Ruben Espabo from LGU Libungan. Good morning po. And I
may
also
taga-Libungan, taga-Region 12 yan.
Opo.
Yeah.
Director Ahmad, I believe po we also have Director Martin, Sir Ray, and I think Sir Abs is also watching us po.
Mga fans yata yung mga yan.
Opo. Sabi po ni Sir Ray, idol,
actually,
Director Ahmad.
Fan ko yan. Fan po nila ako. No? Mga idols ko yung mga yan. Lal na yan si Sir Ray at si Sir Martin yan.
Opo. Ayan. Thank you all po for joining us today through our official Facebook live streaming. Ayan, Director Ahmad, we already have the results. Majority of our Zoom participants po answered letter D, 64%, while 18% answered B, 9% answered E, and 9% answered A.
So majority answered this because design and bid, again, it's an infrastructure project. Sinama lang po yung design, which kung titignan mo is consulting. But the intention of design and bid is to have the structure. So naisama lang po yun para mas madali na po on the part of the procuring. Or hindi alam ng procuring entity how to prepare really the designs. Security and janitorial services is also part of goods. So yan, medyo, okay na ako dyan sa result na yan.
Apo. Majority of our Facebook Live viewers, director answered letter D. So they got
Very
the
good.
correct answer po.
So nakikinig
Ayan.
yung mga nakikinig yun sa nasa Facebook itong joke lang wag ho kayo mahirap po
Mabawi daw
magseryoso.
sila, sir.
Ang gagaling ng participants ho natin dito sa sa Facebook. Sa next knowledge check no natin dapat 100% na makinig ho kayo mabuti. Joke lang. No?
That's right po. Ayan. So we may now proceed po. I believe, sir, we have more or less 30 slides po for the next part of our lecture. So back to you po, Director Ahmad.
Thank you, Ma'am Monica. So we proceed. Okay. So we'll now discuss the competitive bidding procedure and the requirements. No? Now, I'd like to spend a lot of time discussing each step and the reasons and the requirements before we go into the details. So that later on, even if medyo mabilisan na lang po natin ito-tackle some of the policies, at least medyo aware ho tayo and we already have a good understanding on the process. So bear with me, ipipresent ko po isa-isa po yung steps. No? Yung step po involved in the first, the standard competitive procedure for bidding procedure for goods and services. So in any procurement, no, it's always, I highly encourage in any procurement project or activity for the Bids and Awards Committee to convene, to invite, of course, the Secretariat, the Technical Working Group, including the consultant if you have for that particular procurement project. The end user, this is very important. You have to engage the end user, invite them in a meeting, and if you can, to also include the head of the procuring and specifications again, and for consulting services, yung terms of reference, diba? So that everyone is fully aware kung ano ho yung magiging final specifications. Huwag ho kayong mag-discuss, Bids and Awards Committee, during the pre-bid conference of the specifications, magdebate, because it should happen during the pre-procurement conference. Okay, so that's number one. You also have to discuss whether the approved budget for the contract is enough or reasonable. Hindi siya mababa at hindi rin siya bloated. Because later on, wala hong sisihan, kasi masyadong mahal yung ABC. Ikaw mismo, Bids and Awards Committee member, dapat ikaw yan, sumama ka sa discussion. No? Ni-raise mo yan during the pre-procurement conference. You also have to discuss the schedule of activities. So that eventually, when you do the actual procurement, for example, the pre-bid conference opening, no one or no member of the Bids and Awards Committee can complain, hindi mo kasi ni-schedule, alam mo namang meron akong very important activity, tinaon mo pa doon. No? Because you're already part of the, so you can tell that, kung ako yung back chair, you can tell that back member na nagko-complain, bakit hindi mo sinabi during the pre-procurement conference? So in-schedule natin in advance, so that mapa-prioritize. And remember, we have that provision in jury duty that you have to prioritize your back assignments over all other assignments. Over all other assignments, just to mention. Okay, yung iba, hindi pa rin masyadong siniseryoso ito. You have to prioritize your back assignments. So there's no reason really, but it's good to discuss already para hindi ho mababangga yung schedule ninyo later on. So all the requirements will be discussed during the pre-procurement conference, and you can even review the eligibility requirements, the technical requirements, and the financial requirements. For consulting, you have to decide whether to use the quality-based or quality cost-based evaluation, the criteria for shortlisting, and then eventually the criteria for the evaluation. You can also discuss, for example, the common reasons of failure para makita ho ninyo and ma-incorporate po ninyo, among other things. No? And then, please check the consistency of your procurement, that procurement project that you're going to undertake with the provisions of the annual procurement plan. So all these things actually are found in the bidding documents. So my advice is for the technical working group, no, kung kasama mo po si Secretary sa pag-prepare po ng bidding documents, no, meron na po dapat draft na bidding documents na ipipresent po during pre-procurement conference. So we do not start from scratch during pre-procurement conference. Sana review na lang, no? Para mas maganda. Otherwise, baka ho after the meeting, kailangan pa ng another schedule of meeting, pre-procurement conference, just to finalize these bidding documents. Okay, so again, the importance, yung pong lahat ng requirements po natin and the rules of the game, quote and unquote, are contained in the bidding documents. So whatever disputes or complaints later on that you're going to encounter shall be resolved based on the provisions of the bidding documents. Then another important point, as much as possible, you request the BAC Secretariat or TWG or anyone from the BAC to update rather the BAC on the recent issuance of the GPPB. So mas magandang dito natin gagawin kasi sabi nga natin ang magbago yung rules. So mas mabuting we check the website first or whatever issuances po ng GPPB, the resolution, so that we can discuss this. Kasi in our previous experience, minsan in one of the procurement conference that you're going to conduct, no, my internet connection is unstable. Can you still hear me? Just to check.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfectly clear.
So lahat po nung mga information na yun ay kailangan po para mag-guide po yung ating bidders to prepare their proposals in accordance with your requirements and the provisions of the law. So these bidding documents after the pre-procurement conference is expected to be finalized or approved. Kung hindi man po ma-approve because you still have to conduct further study on your technical specs, then you conduct another meeting. But the objective really, the output of the pre-procurement conference should be meron na pong approved bidding documents. Because the approved bidding documents is needed. The approved bidding documents.
All right, may we remind our participants po to please keep your microphones muted po.
Okay, because the bidding documents is needed to be uploaded, no? Yan ho yung term, no? The invitation, the section 1 of which yung invitation to bid should be posted in the necessary posting requirements or places, no? For example, the website, if there's any, the field jobs, and the conspicuous place in the bulletin board of the procuring entity. So the next stage after the pre-procurement conference is to advertise or to upload the invitation to bid. Now, just to emphasize, dito po ang pinopost or na-upload po natin, hindi lang po yung invitation to bid. So we see in a lot of posting made in the field jobs, ang ina-upload lang po or pinopost. And minsan wala pa nga dun sa notice description, hindi po natin nilalagay yung laman ng invitation to bid. So paano ngayon yan? Because the purpose again of advertising this information or posting this information is for the bidders to be oriented or aware of what are the necessary requirements and the procedures that they have to comply in order to submit the proposals in accordance with the requirements. So yun po yung basic requirement, and the only way to do that is to provide this information to them. Yan ho yung purpose ng advertisement. It's not just because parte lang yan ng process. No, this is the only way that you can invite or inform a lot of suppliers to participate in your procurement if you're able to inform them of the requirements, no? Kaya we really encourage, and it's actually mandatory, to post and upload the bidding documents. Now the requirements is 7 calendar days. Okay? Some are complaining, bakit ang haba naman ng advertisement? If you put yourselves into the shoes of the suppliers, 7 calendar days is not enough for them to be informed, no? Buti nga may field jobs, may automatic email notification, no? But kung wala yun, how are we able to inform these potential bidders or suppliers pag hindi tayo nag-post, no, ng enough ample time? Kaya maintindihan ho ninyo yung 7 calendar days. Now, after the 7 calendar day period of posting or advertisement, then you conduct another meeting to be attended this time, no? Hindi lang po si Bids and Awards Committee, kasama na po si Secretariat, TWG. This time, dapat magpa-participate na po si observers and the bidders or their representatives. Now, meeting sa pre-procurement, you post, then another meeting. Ano naman po yung purpose ng pre-bid conference, no? Although you already provided the necessary information, no, in the bidding documents, it's good still to discuss, to orient your bidders, including your observers, on the provisions of the bidding documents. No? In particular or especially, the schedule of requirements, the specifications, the approved budget, the schedule of activities, etc. No, so i-discuss po natin yan. Ang intention kasi natin is for the bidders as well as the observers to be properly informed or oriented on the requirements so that this information are properly understood para ma-prepare po nila yung kanilang proposals. So paulit-ulit ho ako, no, para kung sirang plaka. Sir, talagang kailangan ba talaga? Yes. Because your intention is competition, to promote competition. Para mas marami makapag-participate at hindi ho sila ma-DQ, ayun yung common term natin, no? Ma-disqualify or ma-declare ineligible, dapat ho ma-comply nila yung requirements. No? And aware po sila, na-explain po sa kanila. So isasama din po dyan sa pre-bid conference yung pong common grounds or reasons for disqualification based on your previous experience. That's the first purpose of conducting pre-bid conference. The other purpose is to give an opportunity for your bidders to ask questions or seek clarification, no? In order to address yung pong kanilang siguro yung doubts or maybe yung mga hindi klaro sa kanila for them na provision of the bidding documents. Now, this is very important, no? Kung ako si procuring entity or the Bids and Awards Committee, I would always ask the suppliers, di ba? It was mentioned during the discussion ni Director Mark that one of the sources of information as far as the specs and the approved budget for the contract, no less, it's the supplier, no? Or the suppliers themselves, di ba? Kasi sila ho, inaaral ho nila yung produkto. So sila yung nakakaalam kung ano na yung latest trend sa industry, ano na yung updated na specs. So for us, it's actually an advantageous, no? Advantageous on our part to know ano na yung meron dyan sa ating mga suppliers. So we give them the opportunity to ask questions for us to know because this might improve our requirements. No? Pag nagtanong mo sila, wala nang ganyan. No? So we can still adjust the specifications before the deadline for the submission or at least 7 calendar days before the deadline for submission through the issuance of supplemental bid bulletin. No? Ika nga, sabi nga sa Suncho, Art of War, much better for you, no, na alam mo yung terrain at saka ano yung nangyayari dun sa other side. So, dalawa po yung purpose and take note, we are actually encouraged to be proactive and encouraging during the conduct of pre-bid conference. So, we don't limit the bidders to ask questions. Meron pa yung ibang practice ng mga procuring entity na one question lang for every bidder or yung mga nakabili lang ng bidding documents ang pwedeng mag-ask ng questions. No, you should take advantage of the presence of your bidders because you will know kung ano naman yung side nila. And if there are recommendations or comments, you have to take it seriously. Tingnan mo, ikaw rin din naman na magde-decide kung i-allow mo if there's a need to amend the provision of the bidding documents. No? Nasa sa inyo pa rin naman po kung paano po ninyo i-manage. But if I were you, I would rather allow them and encourage them to ask questions. Pag hindi sila nagtatanong, mas mamumblema po ako. Not the other way around. Wag leaders now are fully equipped or have clear understanding on the requirements as well as the procedures. No? They have to observe para hindi sila ma-DQ. No? Okay, so after the pre-bid conference, they were given ample time to prepare their proposals, then deadline for submission, and then opening of bids. Okay, so the rule says at the minimum, we have to set the deadline for submission at least 12 calendar days, no, after the conduct of pre-bid conference. Sir, umaba yung process. Binigyan natin sila ng 7 calendar days for the posting, 1 day for pre-bid, then another 12 calendar days. Diba? You find it, diba? Mahaba yung proseso. We say no. No? Hindi ho totoo yun. Because, actually, kung isipin ho natin, i-include ho natin yung possible na magkaroon ho ng changes or amendments in the requirements, 7 calendar days na lang ang binibigay sa ating mga bidders to submit or prepare their proposals. Why? Because even after the pre-bid conference, bidders are still given 2 calendar days to submit their questions or requests for clarification. And if in case, if necessary, for the Bids and Awards Committee to provide a reply, no, because the BAC is given 3 calendar days or at least 7 calendar days to issue, if necessary, the supplemental bid bulletin. Okay, take note, whatever agreement made during the pre-bid conference, if it's not covered by a supplemental bid bulletin, it is not valid or binding. The only time that these particular changes, as agreed during pre-bid conference, if the Bids and Awards Committee is able to issue the supplemental bid bulletin. Okay? So, yun pin-provide ng rules natin eh. Yan ho yung dahilan bakit kailangan ho natin mag-observe kasi may proseso ho tayo na dapat masunod. And maganda ho yung intention. Now, immediately after the deadline for submission, the BAC has to convene again to open the proposals. Alright? Non-discretionary pass or fail or patently sufficient or insufficient. If the document is not present based on the required documentary requirements, no, fail, no. Maganda ho ngayon dahil in the Philippine bidding documents meron na po siyang checklist. So ang practice po natin, of course, meron ho tayong dalawang screen, one screen or projector will provide for the checklist para makita ho in public kung ano na ho yung status or ano ho yung rate or decision ng Bids and Awards Committee whether fail ba yan or pass. The other projector will project the actual document submitted. So yan po, no, dalawang screen if possible, no, kasi nga one copy na lang po yung required. I will explain this later on. But in the meantime, so non-discretionary pass or fail, nandyan ba yung document? Pass. Pag wala ho, fail. Mabilisan po ito, no? And whether patently sufficient or insufficient. Ano yung ibig sabihin nito? For example, nag-submit ng NFCC, hindi yung equivalent dun sa approved budget for the contract. So fail ka agad yun, no? Patently insufficient or meron siyang single largest completed contract for infra, hindi umabot dun sa 50% of the approved budget for the contract. So fail pa rin ho yun, no? So ganun no. And we only check the face of the document. We only focus on the face of the document, no? Hindi ho tayo nag-scrutinize o nagbabalidate pa lang during opening. Why? Pahabain lang ho natin, pinapahirapan lang ho natin yung proseso or yung sarili ho natin because that will be done during the post-qualification. Later, I will tell you, mas maganda ho yung process na inadapt po ng ating RA 9184 because instead of validating all the documents submitted by all bidders during the post-qualification, yung lowest calculated na lang. So, isa na lang. So, mas sinimplify pa po yung process. So, that's why we're not encouraging or telling our Bids and Awards Committee to really spend a lot of time evaluating during the opening. Kasi yan yung practice, sir. Gusto namin makasiguro. Kaya nilalagay talaga, in-evaluate talaga namin, i-examine namin documents. You're just duplicating the process, no? Later on, magbabalidate. And really, the best way to validate these documents is not just to look at the document. Diyan, wala ka pang way of comparing the document. For example, yung scan copy or photocopy lang sinadmit. So there's no way on the face na talagang check mo with the original. Ginagawa natin yun during the post-qualification. So only when all the documents contained in the first envelope are rated pass that we open the second envelope containing the financial proposal. Now, we check the financial proposal within the approved budget for the contract ba? No? Kita ba natin dun sa bid price na provided ba yung lahat ng mandatory entries? Then after which, lahat ho na-rate na ho natin dun sa second envelope as pass. Siyempre, gagawa ho tayo ng abstract as read. No? Abstract as read. And then all those who pass the second envelope will be subjected to evaluation and ranking. Here, the objective is to identify or determine the lowest calculated bid. So it's very important to check the completeness of the bid as well as the correct computation or the correctness of the prices, no? Importante po 'yun para hindi ho tayo magkamali or makita ho talaga natin, ma-compare ho natin yung kanilang financial proposal in order to determine, no, the lowest calculated bid. So yan po yung purpose po ng ating evaluation, no? Balikan ko lang po yung mga maximum period. And then this lowest calculated bid will be informed. The BAC will issue the notice of lowest calculated bid. Yun na rin po yung magti-trigger for them to submit the documents required during the post-qualification and also to prompt that bidder that is a subject po siya sa post-qualification. Now, post-qualification, this is the right time for us to validate the authenticity. And I think the best way really to validate this is to really check with the issuing authority or the third party, no, who has that parang involved in the issuance of that particular document, no? Yun yung tatanungin natin, no? Mas madali yung ganun kasi tatawagan mo lang or magko-communicate ka lang and then mabi-verify mo na kung totoo yung documents in the submit. So, we are validating the information contained in the documents submitted aside from the documents themselves, no? So, we do that during post-qualification and we also check the performance on the ongoing contracts, no? Again, elaborate po natin later on. Then, post-qualification can be done by the technical working group. Pag si TWG pong gumawa, magsasubmit po sila ng post-qualification report for confirmation or approval of the Bids and Awards Committee. If the PAC finds that the documents are found to be okay po siya, valid, no? So pass or fail pa rin po kasi ginagamit natin dyan. Then they will decide again and issue a resolution containing two, no? Very important resolutions or recommendation. One is the identification of the lowest calculated and this time responsive bid and recommending award to that lowest calculated responsive bid to the head of the procuring entity. Now the hope can decide within 15 calendar days, no? After the receipt of this recommendation or resolution from the BAC, whether to accept the recommendation and therefore issue the notice of award or not, and then proceed with the contract signing and then the notice to proceed. So basically, yan ho yung process po sa goods po natin now. If you look at those, yung mga bilog po na mga periods, po, no? And even the documentary requirements, meron na po tayo yung checklist and 15 calendar days for the decision of the PAC. Now, as I mentioned, the process that we presented earlier is the same, no? When it comes to standard competitive bidding procedures for infrastructure project. Wala pong kaibahan even in the maximum period except for the last day posting up to the date or up to the deadline for submission, which is either 50 calendar days for approved budget for the contract of 50 million and below and 65 calendar days for ABC with ABC, no, of above 50 million. Okay? Now, sir, bakit mas mahaba? Sa goods, 45 lang. Dito, 50. It's because, mas technical po ito. They will have to prepare, no? Numerous documents compared to goods. Sa goods lang naman, conformity lang naman doon sa specifications. Dito, dami pa nilang gagawin, no? Gagawa din sila ng bill of quantities. They still have to prepare their program of works, etc. They will have to of course, prepare the other documents. Kaya mahaba ho yung binibigay, mas mahaba yung binibigay ho natin na panahon for them to prepare their proposal. Now, for consulting services, okay, the same process, pre-procurement conference, then advertisement. Pareho yan sa goods. Kaibahan po, first one is the eligibility check and shortlisting. Now, question. Sir, why do we have, first question muna, bakit request for expression of interest ho? Yung ginagamit when it comes to consulting services. Whereas in goods and infra, it's invitation to bid. Invitation to submit bid. Yun po yun, no? Sa consulting, no? Ang first step po dyan, hindi ho sila kagad-agad magsasubmit ng kanilang bid or kanilang proposal. Why? Kasi yung technical proposal nila, katakot-takot po na documents yung i-accomplish nila. Basically, they're already initially providing technical work, no, because they're preparing a lot of technical documents and it would take a lot of time, effort, no, and they are already investing their expertise, so we cannot really expect them to prepare their proposals, no? Hindi katulad sa goods at saka sa infra, meron ka ng klarong mga parameters, no, requirements, the specifications. Here, terms of reference is a very general or vague document. Di pa yan how to operationalize the terms ay medyo hirap po sila. So here, request for expression of interest. Hindi muna sila magsasubmit ng kanilang technical and financial proposal, but instead, sino po yung interested to participate? By submitting the eligibility documents together with the statement of nationality of the consultants and the curriculum vitae and the form, no? Yung pong expression of interest. Nagsisignify pa lang po sila. So in short, pagdating po sa consulting services, wala pang technical proposal muna. Wala pang financial proposal. Kasi pag-uusapan pa lang ho yun or shortlist muna natin sila. Now, the next question is this. Bakit ho merong shortlisting? Because we want to promote competition. Oh, sir, nilimit mo yung participation. Paano ipopromote yung competition? Remember, if you're going to open the opportunity to all consultants, they will not be encouraged to participate if they know that they have slim chance of winning the bidding. Kasi marami sila, hindi nila alam kung how many will submit. So sasabihin nila, gagawa ko ng proposals kagad, wala naman akong very slim naman yung chance of winning. That's why isinama yung shortlisting to increase the chance of winning the bidding, no? So pag the procuring entity or the Bids and Awards Committee decided to shortlist the consultants or the bidders, for example, to 5. So ang probability for one bidder to win the bidding would be 20%, di ba? 1/5. So may encourage sila ngayon to proceed with their proposals later on, submit their proposals. Kasi nga alam nila, mas malaki yung chance na kahit mag-invest ho sila ng time nila, ng kanilang technical expertise, malaki ho yung chance of winning the bidding. Okay? Now, after the shortlisting, take note, ang pag-evaluate lang sa kanila is based on the documents submitted, no? Yung kanilang eligibility as well as yung curriculum vitae. Malalaman mo na kasi, no? Later on, you will see the criteria, no? So those shortlisted consultants or bidders will be allowed to attend the pre-bid conference, and eventually sila lang po yung allowed to submit their proposals, no? Yung mga shortlisted consultants. Now, after the pre-bid conference, inform na po sila, nagkaroon na po ng understanding on the terms of reference, so they can now submit their technical and financial proposal and then evaluate quality-based ba or quality-cost-based ba ang gagamitin, and then you negotiate, no? Kailangan ng negotiation po kasi ini-negotiate yung provisions of the contract, yung kanilang comments on the terms of reference, kung ano mga facilities or equipment ang i-provide po ng procuring entity, etc., etc. So more or less, at least just to check na yung pong deliverables or the objectives provided in the terms of reference will be met by the proposals of the bidders or the consultants. And then we do post-qualification. So ang kaibahan po yung dalawa, yung pong ating shortlisting as well as the negotiation. Of course, yung pong evaluation, no? Okay, so for the earliest recommended, no? For infra, pareho po sa goods, 26, doon lang po nagkakaiba doon sa maximum period that we need to, if in case, no? From the last day of advertisement or posting up to the deadline for submission. Again, the maximum period for projects with approved budget for the contract of 50 million or below ay 141 calendar days. For above 50 million, 156 calendar days, excluding the approval of the higher authority. Okay, for consulting services, 36 calendar days. Remember, may additional steps po siya. Okay. And for the maximum period, 180 calendar days, excluding the approval of the higher authority, if applicable. Now, if it would require approval of higher authority, no, in the case of the national government agencies, for example, if the recommendation of the Bids and Awards Committee and the approval of the, for example, the regional director still, no, requires the approval of the secretary or higher authority, then the approval of the higher authority or the higher authority is given 20 calendar days for the receipt of the contract. For GOCC, considering that the board is a collegial body, no, they're given additional 10 calendar days because you need still to convene them unless the approval is done through referendum. Kaya 30 calendar days po yan. Now, one of the developments that I personally appreciate when the GPPB, no, adopted, no, this napakaganda ho itong development na ito, allowing the use of digital signature, no, for the procurement documents. Kung titingnan po ninyo, halos lahat po ng procurement documents are included. And in fact, no, may discussion pa nga that even for purchase order, and we talked with our Commission on Audit sa amin lang, they are now allowing us to use digital signature in the purchase order. Kasi, kung yan valid po yan Talagang as if you sign the document with wet ink, no? Ganun po yun. So kung titingnan po, lahat po ng procurement documents can now be signed through electronic signature. Ito pong electronic signature or digital signature allowed by the GPPB. Ito po yung meron po tayong tinatawag na PNPKI, Philippine National Public Key Infrastructure, no? Certificate that we applied or we usually obtained from the DICT. Local government units, it's very easy to secure itong PNPKI certificate from the DICT, yung Department of Information and Communications Technology, no? Online po yung application yan, and then we'll respond. They're very facilitative. They can even provide orientation. So if I were you, no, just to influence or maybe inspire you, sa amin sa DBM, na paperless na po kami. Halos lahat ng documents namin digitally signed. Wala na kami printed copies, including the SARO, and now the NSA, yun na lang papunta sa bangko. But the advice are signed digitally, no? So ano hong advantages? Siyempre, ikitanong ninyo na even during pandemic, we can still manage to continue our operation without going to the office. And I tell you, even beyond this pandemic situation, we can sustain even if lahat ng empleyado nasa labas na ng opisina namin because of this digital signature. So napakagaling po nito. This will also complement yung pong digital conduct or conduct of procurement activities, no, using digital platform or in digital platform, no. So dahil situated in different location po yung ating mga members ng Bids and Awards Committee, ang question na lang, paano yung document? For example, pipirma ka ng abstract. So this can be one of the solutions, no, to use digital signature. So I'm encouraging everyone to know more about the use of digital signature. So again, just to clarify, yung digital signature is not the same, no? Hindi po ito yung scan copy po ng inyong po mga signature. Because ito po, pag ina-fix po ninyo yung digital signature, if anybody would attempt to, for example, edit or modify the document, hindi ko i-allow ng system. Either sasabihin niya, hindi mo pwedeng modify or tatanggalin niya kung Word or Excel po yan yung digital signature. So the integrity of document is there. And I tell you, the COA is now embarking on digital systems, no? Even in the storage of their documents, no? Mas gusto nila ngayon, digital na rin po, no? So again, we mentioned that we are also allowed under GPPB resolution to conduct bidding activities or procurement activities through video conferencing, webcasting, and similar technology. And take note, those who participated in the digital platform, for example, the members of the Bids and Awards Committee, can be counted as far as quorum is concerned or determination of quorum is concerned. So any member situated in different areas or location can still participate, and you can count them, no, in the quorum. So ang requirements natin, di ba, there should be quorum for one meeting to be valid and binding. There should be quorum, and there should be the presence or the chairperson or the vice chairperson is present in that meeting. So yun yung basic requirements po natin para maging valid po yun. So di ba ang ganda na, and then i-complement mo pa ng digital signature. Yan. So what are the activities that we can conduct electronically or using digital platform? Of course, pre-procurement conference, bid opening, and all other procurement activities. In short, halos lahat ng procurement activities natin, yung mga meetings o nambak po natin, we can do it through digital platform. Okay. Now, we discussed the details or the specific requirements for each step in the bidding procedure. So again, pre-procurement conference is highly encouraged. Even if wala ho tayo sa threshold, we still encourage you to conduct. Again, to have a good understanding on the requirements and the procedures, no, for everyone, no, to be on the same page. So the timeline, of course, should be conducted prior to the invitation or posting of the invitation to bid. It is mandatory for procurement of goods with approved budget for the contract of above 2 million, above 1 million for consulting services, and above 5 million for infra projects. And those are the participants. We already mentioned now. We know the important role of each participant. No? Hindi ho natin dapat ma-discount yan. Although it's not mandatory, basically it's the back lang naman na meeting yan, no, to determine the validity of that. But it's really good to engage even the end users, no, and the head of the procuring entity. So this is just a reminder. I think this has been emphasized and thoroughly discussed in the procurement 101 as well as in the procurement planning. The prohibition, no, on the reference to brand name, no? This would also include good component po. In the previous na batch, talagang may nag-insist pala sa chat box, no? Doon ho sa Facebook na I don't believe dun sa statement ng speaker, no? Nakalagay ito, malinaw ho dyan, that the prohibition applies to the procurement of goods and goods component of infra projects and consulting services, no? Kung mga semento yan, we cannot really indicate the brand, no? Sir, hindi naman kami nagpo-procure yan eh. Hindi na si procuring entity, it's the supplier still, no? Yan ho yung requirements ho ng rules ho natin, okay? So exemption, kung if would require to sustain the functionality or maintain the functionality, or there's a compatibility, no, issue, then we can already indicate, no. Really a good example of this is the printer, no. We really have to already state the brand as well as even yung model o yung number ng ink, di ba? Kasi minsan kahit the same brand yan, pero hindi natin nasunod yung, mabilis din kasi sila magbago, no. It's their strategy para from time to time ma-update ho tayo and we need to buy another unit, etc. So yan po, no. Okay, so electronic submission is not allowed, no, is now allowed under GPPB Resolution 09-2020, and in the Philippine bidding documents, in the invitation to bid, we need to already indicate whether we allow the back, no, has to indicate whether you're allowing the electronic or online submission of bids, no. So yan po, no. Later on you will see the requirements. So it can be done through electronic means. So ito po mag-a-adapt po ng system si procuring entity, no. Meron po tayong ito yung GPPB portal, but I'm not sure if this is already done and now being rolled out, no. Yan, sana mayroon ho tayong portal, no, kahit hindi mag-adapt yung agencies to allow this electronic submission. And we are also excited to see this, no. In fact, I think mga 4 years or 5 years ago, nakita na ho namin yung electronic bidding. Hindi lang ho electronic submission sa PhilJeps, and napakagaling ho. Sana matuloy-tuloy po yun, because can you imagine, no, nagbibidding na lang po tayo, and on the part of the bidders, they can just submit their proposals online, di ba? Mas maganda yung gano'n. Mas marami hong magpa-participate. Now, this is now the requirement if in case the agency would want to adopt a system or develop their system, so they need to submit to be signed by the highest official managing the information technology system, this certification. So basically, it will just describe the process as well as statement of compliance on the conditions provided under the resolution. So mamaya makikita nyo yung specific requirements na yan. So this is a one-time requirement. Hindi ho kayo magsasubmit from time to time every time you conduct public bidding and allowing the use of the electronic submission. Hindi po, one time lang po ito. No? This will already describe the existing system that you have. So once nag-submit na po kayo, compliant na po, then you can allow the submission electronically. Yan. Okay, so after pre-procurement conference comes the invitation to bid, or the advertisement or posting of the invitation to bid. No? It should be posted or advertised for continuously for 7 calendar days. In the website or on the website, on PhilJeps, as well as on the bulletin board. Ang bago po dito, take note, you're also required, no, to post in your social media platform or account. Requirement na po yun for all those offices under the executive branch. And we think local government units is also under the executive branch. So therefore, LGUs are now also required to post in the social media account. Yan. Kung wala ho kayong social media account, under the administrative order po ng Office of the President, kailangan ho ninyong mag-create na ng inyong social media account. No? So yan po, no? Requirement. 2 years after the effectivity of the 2016, no, naging effective po yung revised IRR on October 28, no, 2016. Therefore, October 28, 2018 onwards, we are no longer required to advertise, no, in the newspaper of nationwide circulation or general circulation. So hindi na po yung requirement. Although, no, kung hindi ho natin available or hindi ho natin ma-access rather yung PhilJeps for certain threshold before, yung 2 million, something 5 million, etc., we're still required to advertise. Pero right now, dahil meron ho tayong PhilJets, failure because under Section 35, pag wala hong nag-submit ng bids, di ba? 2 times so ikakandak yung bidding no, after mandatory reviews, etc., etc., pwede ho silang mag-negotiated procurement to fill bidding. So yun ho nang observe. That's why the GPPB issued a resolution, no, providing for the maximum cost of bidding documents. The real intention is really to recover the cost of the bidding documents. No? Huwag lang ho nating isipin, mura lang naman yung budget, but the knowledge and the effort no, being invested in preparing is more than the cost of that. But still, no, in order to again protect competition, yan na po yung maximum cost of bidding documents that we can require, no, for certain approved budget for the contract. For 500,000 and below, we can only collect as much as 500 pesos. No? Tayo pwedeng sumobra dyan. Okay, so after the advertisement, di ba, sa goods in pre-bid conference na. But for consulting, di ba, meron intervening na activity. That is the shortlisting of the bidders or the consultants. So, submission muna ng request, ng expression of ng interest and eligibility requirements, no? A prospective bidder should submit its expression of interest. Meron nung form diyan, eligibility document submission form, together with the required eligibility documents. So ito lang yung naiba dun sa goods and sa infra, di ba? 2 envelope system sila. Basically, dito parang 3 envelopes po because na-separate po yung eligibility documents. Together with the required eligibility documents on or before the date and time for the submission of such requirements. No? Kasama po dyan yung statement of nationality of the consultants as well as the curriculum vitae. Okay. So shortlisting, of course, the term itself, no, ilimit na lang po natin, so shortlist po natin yung pwedeng mag-participate, pwedeng mag-submit ng kanilang proposals. The shortlist can be 3 or 7, but the preferable number of or the shortlisted number of consultants is 5, no? So only those shortlisted consultants will be issued the notice of eligibility and shortlisting, no? But this recommendation of the Business and Awards Committee would require approval of the head of the procuring entity. And these are the criteria. Kung titingnan po ninyo, napaka-simple lang po ng criteria. And we can use the eligibility documents as well as the curriculum vitae ng mga consultants. Because here, we can assign as much as, or depende ho sa atin, so say 50 points or percent for applicable experience of consultant to consider yung overall experience, how many consulting projects na ba yung nagawa ng firm na yun, as well as the individual projects no done or na-complete po nung mga consultants na i-engage po nung firm, no? So individual experiences of the principal and key staff and how many times when employed by the other consultants. The other criteria is qualification of personnel. So we look at the educational background, again, the experience, the number of years in the firm, vis-a-vis the extent and complexity of the undertaking. And also, we can also include the current workload relative to the job capacity. Titingnan din natin yung mga existing nila kasi this will also affect the quality of time, the quantity and the quality of time that they can spend with the procurement project, consulting services that you are procuring. So yan po yung basic criteria. Okay. So the BAC will rank the prospective consultants that will meet the passing score. So for example, 5 po yung shortlisted number of consultants so, na nagpag-desisyonan po ng Business Awards Committee decided during the pre-procurement conference. What if, sir, hindi umabot, pero pumasa naman sila sa score? So, po pwede pa rin silang i-consider. No? Basta, hindi pag sumobra ng 5, kailangan mo silang i-rank. No? So, kung hindi umabot, you can still consider. And the BAC will recommend the shortlist to the head of the procuring entity for consideration and approval. And if the HOPE approve the shortlisted consultants, then they will be invited for the pre-bid conference, then eventually submit during the deadline, on or before the deadline for submission. Now, meron pong possibility, given kanina sinabi natin may exemption po doon sa who are eligible to bid. What if meron hong foreign bidder na nag-participate? Ang basic requirement ho natin, so we cannot expect that this foreign bidder have the same, di ba? Eligibility documents that we have here in our country. Kasi syempre, may sarili din po silang mga laws that they have to comply. So, iba-iba din po yung document. But what will happen now if our bidder is coming from China? So, Chinese yung language na ginamit. So, these eligibility documents must be translated to English. Yan po yung basic requirement. Must be in English. And then, the translation must be made by relevant foreign government agency, the foreign government agency authorized to translate documents, or a registered translator in the foreign bidder's country. So, and there's an additional requirement for this document shall be authenticated by the appropriate Philippine Foreign Service or establishment. No? May embassy man tayo or meron mang Philippine office dyan who has the jurisdiction over that particular country. Kailangan po yun. Marinig po ninyo before yung sinasabing red ribbon, di ba? Pinapa-authenticate yung document. So, yan po yung basic requirements. If these documents are expressed in foreign language, it should be translated by authorized translators. Now, pumirma po si Philippines in 2019 dun po sa Apostille Convention. No? Contracting party na po siya ng Apostille Convention. And dito po sa Apostille Convention na ito, sinimplify po yung pag-authenticate ng mga documents. So meaning, since contracting party na po tayo, once the document is translated by competent authority, designated, if that foreign country is also a contracting party to the apostille. So usually sa US, yung kanilang mga courts, yun 12 calendar days before the deadline for submission, but should not be earlier than the 7 calendar days. So that the earliest possible date should be on the 8th day after the first day of posting. No? And again, as I mentioned, the purpose of conducting this is really to equip the suppliers or the bidders with the necessary information in order for them to prepare the proposals in accordance with the requirements. So you try to discuss the requirements and the technical financial components. As much as possible, tayong mga municipalities, we're going to use PowerPoint para ma-explain talaga sa kanila, especially the requirements, specifications, the approved budget for the contract and schedule of activities, and common reasons for disqualification. Again, the other intention of conducting this pre-bid conference is to give an opportunity for the bidders to ask questions or seek clarification. Okay, so, sir, saan namin makikita yung sinasabi mong we should be proactive, we should be open to questions, no? In fact, the GPPB issued Resolution 02-2018, no? The bank shall have a proactive role. No? Marami hong mga suggested doon na mga steps or yung character na dapat doon nating i-exercise or i-manifest during the conduct of pre-bid conference. No? Among other things, yung pagiging open po natin for questions and pag-encourage natin sa kanila to submit. So, there's also a GPPB Resolution 04-2021. Hindi na po required ngayon yung pag-post po ng minutes of the meeting of the pre-bid conference, but still, the BAC or the BAC Secretariat for that matter shall see to it that within 5 calendar days after the conduct of that meeting or the activity, the minutes of the meeting is already available. Okay. So supplemental bid bulletin, as we mentioned, any decision to clarify any provision in the bidding documents or to adapt or amend any provision, adapt, change, or amend any provision of the bidding documents can only be binding and effective if it is included or contained or reflected in the supplemental bid bulletin. So supplemental bid bulletin, can be issued at least 7 calendar days before the deadline for bid submission. Okay, so this is issued either to clarify, to answer a particular request or question from the bidders, or even amend the original or the provision of the bidding documents. Okay, now take note, before I forget po, yung pong supplemental bid bulletin po natin, usually we include a statement that says this supplemental bid bulletin, although hindi naman talaga necessary kasi nandiyan din sa rules, shall form integral part of the bidding document. So kung titingnan mo ngayon kung ano na ba yung dapat masunod So, later on, may magtatanong. So, the bidding documents as amended or updated kasi form part of the bidding documents na nagiging part of the requirements or the rules in supplemental bid bulletin. So, kung meron man siyang from to or changes, mag-prevail na ngayon kung ano yung nakalagay doon sa supplemental bid bulletin. So how will the bidders prepare their proposal? So they will again place in the first envelope the eligibility documents and the technical requirements, and then have also the second envelope to contain the financial proposal, and then place it in another envelope. That's one copy. Now, I'd like to emphasize ito pong bid validity. Because this will somehow affect, for example, yung pong ang inyong electronic, rather the early procurement regime, and as well as what if, sir, hindi pa na-approve yung award and yet mag-expire na yung bid validity. So, please try to understand na in any contract, diba, ang basic requirement is that there should be an offer which is certain and there should be unqualified acceptance. Meeting of minds po yan. Now, in the case of government procurement transaction, the one offering is the bidder. Okay? Yung invitation to bid natin is just inviting them to submit their offer or their bid. Offer or their bid. Ang mag-accept po si government agency or the procuring entity. Okay? So remember, may offer, tayo po yung mag-accept sa government. Now, this offer, of course, will not be, kumbaga, effectivity nito will be indefinite. No? Wala hong ganun na offer na indefinite. Babago yung presyo, etc. etc. Alam nga naman walang katapusan yung effectivity or validity ng kanyang offer. So, meron pong tinatawag na offer validity or bid validity. At the maximum 120 calendar days. Nakadepende na po yan kay Bids and Awards Committee or Procuring Entity kung how many days po yung bid validity. Could be lower than 120 calendar days. Some procuring entities would opt to adapt yung 90 calendar days as bid validity. So 120 calendar days. Ibig sabihin, pag sinet po ninyo yung bid validity to 120 calendar days, this offer ni bidder, naman ng government, sigurista kasing government. No? So anong guarantee mo that you will not default on this offer and then eventually enter into contract, di ba? So, mamaya, sabi niya, magsasubmit o magpo-post po ako ng bid security or I will submit bid securing declaration, etc. Okay? Yeah. So, kasi, for example, allow access to a password-protected bidding documents during bid opening. No? O pwede pa rin naman, kaya pa rin naman yan ng email. So, kung mag-i-email siya ulit during the opening na ng kanyang password, so compliant. But ito yung problema, no? Hindi pa rin natin pwede ma-adapt yung email system for the electronic submission because the requirement is the system is capable of generating an audit trail. Ang problema, dahil meron pong provider ng email, no, yung email engine po na tinatawag ko natin, quote-unquote, yan po ay Yahoo or Google, di ba? Okay? So, paano ngayon yung generate ng audit trail of transactions? Yung audit trail po, yan po yung logs or the records of the activities in the system. No? Sino yung nag-upload, sino yung nag-download, sino yung nag-open, documents na-open. Yan po yung audit trail na sinasabi. So, may record po siya ng mga activities in the system. So, yun ang problema natin in the email system. No? Okay. So, bid submitted electronically, kapareho din po ng manual. Okay? Submitted bid must be encrypted and password protected. So, ganun din po, first envelope or file or folder will contain the technical, the second file or folder will contain the financial, then it will be stored in another file or folder, tapos yun na po yung isasubmit. Okay? Kapareho din po ng manual. So, I think you're very familiar with this, no? Yung original technical will be placed in the original technical, and then the financial will be placed in the envelope, no? Second envelope, and then the two envelopes will be placed in another envelope, no? And then that envelope will now bear the name of the contract, name and address of the bidder, recipient, bids and awards committee, and do not open before, no? Yan po yung requirement po natin. Kung nagre-request po kayo ng more than one copy, okay, for example, no, magsasubmit din po si bidder ng additional copies. Copy 1 of the technical, of course, kapareho din ho ng original envelope or original copies. Then copy 1 of the financial will be placed in the envelope, and then the 2 copies, okay, will be placed in another envelope, no? Usually expanding na po yan kasi marami na pong documents and envelope na involved. So yung kung isang envelope na yon will contain the name of the contract, name and address of the bidder, and the recipient bank. Okay. So sealing and marking of bids, okay, unsealed and unmarked, or in electronic submission, yung not compressed or password protected, no, should be rejected. Importante po kasi yun, no? Kasi parang hindi basta-basta ho natatamper or na masisilip yung laman po nun. But for improperly sealed or marked, pwede pong tanggapin provided the bidder or his authorized representative shall acknowledge the condition of the bid. Medyo konting may nabuksan or napunit or something, or medyo may pagkakamali sa spelling, okay? I-accept po yun, no? So, provided acknowledge po siya ng bidder o ng authorized representative. No, bakit ho inallow ito? Before, talagang stricto po yung rules. Just to understand the background, hindi ho inaallow yung improperly sealed and improperly marked. Again, this had been abused by the procuring entities or the Bids and Awards Committee kasi before, kahit konti lang yung pagkakamali, wala lang period or dot, disqualified na kagad or rejected na kagad. So this time, di naman masyadong substantive reason po yun to disqualify the particular bidder kasi ang intention nga natin is for bidders to participate, kaya inaalaw po na yung improperly sealed and marked. Again, provided this is properly acknowledged by the bidder or its representative. Ma'am Monica, knowledge check.
Thank you, Director Ahmad. Quick reminder po again, no, before we jump right through our second knowledge check question. No? If you have questions po, please drop them in through our Zoom chat box or Facebook Live comment section, as our resource speaker shall address all of your related questions during our open forum. Now, for our second knowledge check question, no, please drop your answers through the Zoom chat box po, no? Because again, we will be giving a special token to the first participant who shall correctly answer this question. All right, so for our second knowledge check question, the question is, improperly sealed and improperly marked bid envelopes shall be accepted, provided that the bidder or its duly authorized representative shall acknowledge such condition of the bid as submitted. Is this true or false? Again po, please answer through the Zoom chat box.
Dapat 100% dito tama lahat ng participants.
Yes, sir. But for this particular question, sir, sa Zoom chat box po tayo monitor ng questions kung lahat po ba ay nakatamang sagot. And yung first to answer correctly, sir, magkakaroon po ng special token from us.
I-kick out natin yung nuno dyan.
Yung mali, sir.
Joke lang.
And sir, let us reveal po muna.
Wala talagang no. Walang no. Very good.
Ayan po, sir.
Walang false.
Sige, sir, ano po ba ang tamang sagot for this question?
Okay. 92 may sumagot ng 8%.
Ayan, sige sir. Let us announce muna sir yung result via poll. Meron po kasing may mga sumagot pa rin via poll. We have 92% who answered true while 8% who answered false. So sir, ano po kaya ang correct answer for this question?
I think it was clearly mentioned in the previous slide that we can still accept improperly marked, improperly sealed bids, provided that the bidder or its duly authorized representative shall acknowledge such condition. So true po yan. Natutuwa naman ako, medyo nag-improve na from previous batches. Usually nasa 80 plus lang, this time 92. Pero dapat 100%. So yun po, no? Pwede po yun. Okay, Ma'am Monica?
Ayan sir, for our knowledge check winner, sir. The first one po who answered our question correctly is from LGU Aurora, Miss Floreline Lacharon. Congratulations po, ma'am. I would also like, yes po. Congratulations po again from LGU Aurora, Ma'am Floreline Lacharon. Again po, please watch out po for your for our chat, and then kindly reply po with the required details.
Yeah. I just realized, Ma'am Monica, baka ang rason ng 8% nagmadali sila ng pagsagot kasi di ba pabilisan yan, no?
Opo, yes, yes,
Sa
sir.
bilis ng sagot nila, no kaagad, kahit hindi masyadong nabasa yun, baka hindi nabasa yung provided, nag-no sila kaagad. No? Yeah. Just to justify.
Yes, sir. Pero majority naman po, true ang sagot po.
Yeah, thank you, Ma'am
As I am
Monica.
browsing through right now.
Sige po.
Ayan, sir. Sige po. Let us
Sige,
now
proceed
proceed
tayo.
po with our lecture proper.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Sige. So for the submission and receipt of bids, the maximum period from the last day of posting after the deadline for submission, as we have been mentioning, for goods 45 calendar days, for infra with ABC of 50 million and below 50 calendar days, or for ABC above 50 million 65 calendar days, for consulting services 75 calendar. Again, the reason there, in-extend natin yung mga period na yan is because to give them ample time, no? Kasi mas marami yung silang piniprepare na mga documents. So, for bids submitted electronically, the procuring entity shall generate a bid receipt page. So, this is also part of the requirement actually, na pag nag-submit ho kayo, the system would generate, no, a receipt page. No? Hindi ho yan basta-basta lang na mag-assign ka lang ng date. No? Hindi katulad dun sa manual. So, automatically, the system should already provide kailan ho, an information or a receipt page that will contain the information when the bid was submitted. So modification is allowed both for manually submitted or electronically submitted. Yung modification of bid is allowed before the deadline for submission. So what will happen? Of course, they cannot retrieve anymore the originally submitted bid, but they can submit another envelope with label modification. So whatever is the content of the modification will prevail, and the date, no, and the date and time, no, reflected on that envelope, no, with label or the modification will be the basis, no, to know whether this is submitted within the deadline. So, and the bidder can also withdraw before the deadline for submission by submitting a letter of withdrawal. Pero take note, no, pag 3 times so yan, may be liable for administrative sanction. No? Yung habitual withdrawal na tinatawag in 1 year, no, 3 times po. For bids withdrawn after the deadline for submission and between the deadline and expiration of bid validity, of course, the bid security shall be forfeited. No? So again, the bank shall open the bids in the public immediately after the deadline for submission. There is that non-discretionary. Basically, talagang walang discretion na si Bids and Awards Committee. Konti lang because they can still decide whether to rate a document as pass or fail. Yun lang yung judgment, yun lang yung discretion na binigay sa kanila. But given that meron kang checklist, no, at meron kang forms, no, merong mandatory provisions na kailangan nandoon for certain forms, parang wala ring discretion actually, kaya non-discretionary pass or fail criteria lang yung binigay kay Bids and Awards Committee. Then again, nandyan ba o wala? Or patently sufficient ba yung content niyan? Yung mandatory provisions, nandyan ba? Kasi kung wala, then again, ineligible or disqualified po siya. So, ganun lang kasimple. We open the first envelope, then we try to rate. Mabilisan lang po. Show the document, pass or fail. Pag pass, proceed. No? Pag fail, we inform the bidder. Meron kang without prejudice to filing of request for reconsideration, but we will keep your bid until we resolve your kung magmamanifest ka ng request for reconsideration, etc. Okay, so we open the second envelope containing the financial proposal, and if in case pumasa din po, we rate the documents containing the second envelope as passed, then we rank them. We read, no? Abstract as read. Bidder A is offering, ano, no, for this, and then come up with the abstract as read. So, in the electronic submission, password shall only be disclosed by the bidder during the actual bid opening. Now, anytime pwede nyo niyang i-postpone po through the issuance of notice of postponement, no? Yung pong deadline for submission cannot be postponed unless nag-issue po siya ng supplemental bid bulletin postponing the deadline for submission. But take note, yung supplemental bid bulletin must be issued at least 7 calendar days. So during the deadline for submission or opening, di ka na pwede talaga mag-postpone ng submission ng bids. What you can postpone is the opening, no? Is the opening of the envelopes. Okay, so people are questioning even our legislators or even our local chief executives or our bidders, no, are wondering, ang dami namang nire-require ng mga documents ni government, no, sa procurement. Bakit kailangan pa yung mga documents na yun? So we need to understand the reason for each document, no? Itatakal natin bawat isang document. Sasabihin ko po sa inyo na kailangan talaga yun. Hindi lang yan ni-require just for the sake of, giving burden or putting burden to our suppliers para hindi sila. Kasi intention nga natin, yes, as much possible, mas marami magsasubmit. So bakit natin sila papahirapan? So we'll try to understand now the reason why we have to require this document. So let's start with personal transaction. Pag personal transaction, kung tayo yung buyer, we do not buy anything from any supplier or any person without knowing the background of that person. Very basic po yan na requirement. Pag hindi natin alam yung background ng seller, yan ba illegal? Legit ba yung seller na yan? We do not buy. Pag online selling nga, mas stricto nga tayo, right? Kasi tinitingnan natin how many stars yung nakuha niya from the previous transactions, right? And we even read the remarks or the comments of the previous nila na mga buyers. This is very important to guarantee or to assure us that indeed, if I'm going to buy or sign a contract, so wala naman contract, delivery mo na. Dapat makabili ako doon sa merong legal capacity or personality, meron siyang technical capability, at meron ho siyang financial capacity. So question ngayon, in government transaction, are we using the same concept? Yes, lalo na sa government, because then again, yung public funds, of course, pag-ari po yan ng publiko, interest from public. So we have to safeguard, to provide the necessary safeguard, no? So that when we award the contract and eventually disburse the public funds, we are utilizing the money or spend the money to the right suppliers with the 3 qualifications. Dapat meron ho siyang legal capacity. Now, question, how do we prove the legal capacity of the supplier, di ba? Basic requirement. Paano natin malaman na legit po siya? So we can establish the legal capacity of that supplier if that supplier is able to register his business. Kung yan ay sole proprietor, he cannot use any name unless registered po yan sa DTI, Business Name Registration Certificate, kung sole proprietorship. Kung yan naman po ay corporations formed in our country, ang law ho natin, corporation law, would require registration ho sa Securities and Exchange Commission. Diba? Kung cooperative naman po kayo or the bidder, kailangan ma-register po siya sa Cooperative Development Authority. That's why you can understand na ito pala yung rason. Kasi nga, no corporation or cooperative or sole proprietorship can engage into any business unless registered po sila. Okay? Pangalawa, you cannot engage in any business unless you secured the mayor's permit or business permit. Naka-indicate din po yung line of business mo doon. No? Wala pong business in our country or entity or firm or company or sole proprietorship that can engage in any business without this mayor's permit. So basic requirement po yun. So maintindihan. Actually, we have no problem with this because these are available documents. No? In fact, so huwag tayong mag-worry bakit kailangan pa yan. Nandiyan, ipopotocopy lang naman nila yan. And if nakapag-secure sila ng platinum certificate, wala magiging problema kasi na-upload na po yan. Pangalawa po, tax clearance. No? Bakit kailangan sila mag-submit ng tax clearance? No? Once upon a time, hindi naman ito requirement. But the Department of Finance is very insistent on this requirement. Why? We are government agencies or agents of the government. And we are using funds coming from the collections of our Internal Revenue Bureau, di ba? Sa BAR or other collecting agencies. And therefore, you have to see to it that the contracts we're entering with should be settling their tax obligations, no? Are paying their tax liabilities. Wala silang utang sa government kasi doon nanggagaling yung resources natin. So you can understand a valid reason why we have to require them, no, to submit the tax clearance, because we want to ensure that they are paying their tax obligations. So that's another requirement, no? Now, although this is a part of the technical eligibility document, but it's worth also to mention as part of the legal requirements for any business to engage in construction, for infra naman po, they have to have the pickup license. No? Nakalagay ko kasi yan sa separate law na wala hong construction firm that can engage in construction business kung wala ho siyang pickup license. So those are the reasons behind para ma-establish natin yung legal capacity. No? And then it doesn't mean that if one entity or firm or corporation has the legal capacity, can already deliver the goods and services or can perform the services, no, that we are requiring. No? Hindi ho siya automatic. Ang tinatanong natin dyan, pag magpapagawa ka halimbawa ng isang building or school building, meron ka bang kakayanan technically to complete or to perform the necessary, no, work, no, to complete that particular project? So yun yung basic question. Or paano natin mapuproof na kaya mo siyang i-construct or kaya mo siyang i-deliver? By requiring them, isubmit mo sa amin, meron ka na bang previous experience? Kaya nire-require po natin dito, as part of the technical capability to prove na meron ho sila, yung single largest completed contract. No? Mababa nga yung requirement natin kasi 50% lang at the maximum for infra. For non-expendable, 50%. Goods, expendable, 25%. Mababa na nga yung requirement na yun. So at least nakapag-complete ka man lang or 50% ng isang kontrata na ang equivalent nun ay 50% of the approved budget for the contract. So that's an assurance, no? That's an assurance na kaya niyang gawin because nagawa niya na before. Ganon din naman tayo. Yun yung sinasabi natin kanina sa Lazada or sa Shopee na pag nakita natin how many stars and then what were the comments of the buyers, etc., are good considerations on our part, no, para talagang ma-assure natin na sige, kayang-kaya niyang i-deliver at gawin yan. So that's one, another requirement. Then it doesn't mean, of course, na meron na siyang legal capacity or personality at meron siyang technical capability, kaya niya ring i-deliver. One of the contentious now issues being discussed, no? Of course, titingnan mo rin yung financial capacity because that firm will have to incur costs in order to deliver the item or perform the work. No? Meron siyang may incur talaga na cost dyan. That's why you need also to check or to require the submission, no, nung competition po niya ng net financial contracting capacity. No? Net financial contracting capacity. The term itself, you check the financial capacity. In fact, mas stricto nga yung requirements kasi nga, ang nire-require natin, based on the formula, it's current assets less current liabilities. It measures the liquidity, although in-expand lang yan to 15, no? Measures the liquidity, meaning to say that if whatever liabilities, current liabilities that may arise, no, out of that particular project can be covered by his or existing po niya na current assets. So yun po yung liquidity, kaya niyang bayaran whatever liabilities, no? So the formula is current asset minus current liabilities multiplied by factor 15 less outstanding or ongoing contracts including awarded but not yet started. Now, this particular formula would require some inputs or source documents. So for current assets and current liabilities, we base it on the financial statements. And again, the government is gusto pa rin talaga makasiguro, no? Kaya ang nire-require niya, audited. And hindi lang doon nagtatapos, dapat stamp received by the BAR or its duly authorized, no, financial institutions. Why? Kasi nakita na ho natin na depende ho yan, no, kung saan ho niya gagamitin yung financial statement. Pag mag-apply siya ng loan, pwede niyang gawing maganda yung kanyang assets or kanyang net worth as well as the income kasi nga nagsisecure siya ng loan. Kung magpipresent siya sa management, ganun din, pagagandahin niya yung performance para dun sa mga stockholders. So, pero kung nagbabayad yan ng taxes sa BIR, the tendency is to lower the taxable income. That's why to ensure that the information provided in the NFCC is credible enough or based on the documents submitted to another government agency, ang nire-require ho natin audited financial statement duly received by the BAR, stamp received by the BAR, and its authorized financial institution. So nagre-require ho tayo. Then in the formula also, binabawas ho natin yung ongoing because this will affect, because for the ongoing projects, they will still have to spend money, no? Kasi hindi pa tapos yung project. Kaya nagre-require po tayo ng all ongoing projects, whether with private or government entities. So yun po yun. Lahat po, because ang intention natin dyan ay malaman natin magkano pa yung ongoing projects niya. Okay? Na siyempre, i-cover niya pa rin ng kanyang financial resources. So, you can already understand from here the eligibility requirements or documents needed. Ang kulang na lang natin dito yung technical documents. We move forward. So, under the, for the first envelope, the bidder is required to submit eligibility requirements, some of which were already discussed, or all of which, then later on we're going to supplement, look at the specific document. And then for Class B document, this is applicable for joint venture agreement, the joint venture agreement. For technical requirements, ito na po yung additional from the eligibility. Yung bid security, we'll discuss that later on. Yung project requirements, in the case of the goods, they're required to submit conformity po dun to enforce yung omnibus one statement. Sorry po dun sa bill of quantities, that's part of the financial document. Okay. For the Class A legal documents, they're required to submit PhilJEP certificate of registration platinum. Okay. In the original provision, or rather, in the provision of 2016 IRR, nakalagay po talaga doon na ang isasubmit po ng bidder ay platinum certificate in lieu of the eligibility documents. But because of the request of some of our suppliers, na medyo hirap po sila to secure the platinum certificate because that was the first time na ni-require po yun during the opening, nag-issue po si GPPB ng resolution postponing or deferring, no? Yung pong pag-secure po ng platinum certificate, kung baka pagbigay ng flexibility rather in the submission of the actual eligibility document, but still the platinum certificate should be submitted during post-qualification. Yan naman din po yung original requirement talaga. Now, let me clarify, because seemingly, even if in the checklist, it's clearly provided there that they can submit, the bidder can submit platinum certificate or the eligibility documents, meron pa rin po mga agencies, national at LGUs, na kahit wala ho yung, kahit nag-submit na yung bidder ng platinum certificate, nagre-require pa ng SEC registration at saka MERS permit, no? And sinasabi natin hindi na kasi nandun na yun sa platinum certificate. Ang rason daw nila, hindi namin nakikita yung expiration. Nandun po yan sa Annex A. The necessary information that will help you to decide for the eligibility documents are contained already or reflected in the Annex A of the certificate. Yun yung magiging basis. The other reason, nire-require na ng COA yung actual eligibility documents. In that case, ang best approach dyan is to really try to engage the COA. No? Siyempre, dapat malumanay at maayos yung tatanungin lang natin si COA, what is the basis of requiring if the bidder has already submitted the platinum certificate at nakalagay na po dito yung mga in-upload niya na documents. Although again, that is subject to post-qualification. But for the purpose of satisfying the requirements of COA, palaging tanungin natin, ma'am, what is the basis for that? If the basis is the COA circular, no, issued before, then maybe you can also present to him or her under the 2016 rules, ito na po, pwede na po yung platinum certificate because they also upload the documents. Now, the other thing that you have to remember, nag-upload sila, nag-submit sila ng platinum certificate, doesn't mean na hindi na ho kayo magkakandak ng post-qualification or verification this document because it's not the responsibility of the PhilJEPs to validate or authenticate these documents. So, hindi ho nila responsibility, it's the responsibility of the Business Awards Committee. So, wag ho kayong mag-rely din na since meron siyang platinum certificate, these documents are already valid. You still have to conduct post-qualification. Okay? For Class A technical document, statement of all ongoing, take note, all ongoing, private or government. No? Yung ibang intindi nila, sir, pwede bang private lang? Kasi wala siyang government. Kung private lang, di private lang talaga. Yun lang yung ongoing. Sir, question, paano ho namin yan ipo-post-qualify? Di ba? Magandang tanong. Kasi ongoing, how do we know na yun lang yung ongoing niya? Baka meron pala siyang hindi na-include. No? Ang suggestion natin dyan, halimbawa pag infra, sino ho yung mga agencies na usually nag-i-engage ho ng infra projects? No? Or nagpo-procure ng infra projects? Ay yung malalapit ho sa opisina ho natin. Like for example, DPWH, Engineering District, Regional, or the local government units na may malaking budget on the infra. Sulatan natin, tanungin natin kung may ongoing projects ba and anong status. Di ba? Because it will be part of the post-qualification, whether nag-incur ba siya ng 15% negative slippage or 10% for each of the two contracts, etc. No? So yun po yung isa. So saan po usually, yung mga malalaki yung budget o pinuprocure even for goods, sulatan natin para at least meron din tayong way of verifying wala bang hindi na isali dyan. No? But in general, mahirap po itong i-prove if indeed all the items included will cover no lahat ng ongoing niya. So unless we ask all people in the Philippines and even yung lahat ho no para to know na isama ba yung isang ongoing contract. Okay? Statement of single largest completed contract SLCC. Again, ang requirement ho natin dito should be 50% or 25%. Depende. Later we'll show you. Okay? Then for consulting services, rather for infra, no, valid pickup license or special pickup license for that they will enter into joint venture. But for infra, mandatory na po magkaroon sila ng joint venture agreement because that is a requirement for them to secure the special pickup license. Heads up, okay? We were informed that the GPPB is, I'm not sure what's the status, but parang they're certain that they can issue the resolution anytime, no? For the lifting of the suspension on the mandatory use of mandated PhilJEF. So going back to the original rule po na instead of submitting the eligibility documents, yung platinum certificate na po, PhilJEF's platinum certificate. So we are anticipating an issuance from the GPPB. Ang effectivity po niyan ay January 1, 2022. So heads up po ito sa inyo. It's a good, alam na ho ninyo ito kasi sometimes even if effective na yung isang policy, we continue to implement the previous one. No? Mayor's permit, okay, so inaalaw po yung recently expired mayor's permit, no? But the bidder has to submit the official receipt no, as a proof na ongoing po yung kanyang renewal, on process po yung renewal ng kanyang mayor's permit, but the renewed document or the valid mayor's permit shall be submitted during post-qualification or as part of the post-qualification requirement. Other than the mayor's permit, expired mayor's permit, wala na pong ibang document that will substitute the other eligibility documents. For example, for tax clearance, hindi ho enough or sufficient or compliant po yung halimbawa provisionary tax clearance issued by the BIR or certification coming from the regional office or revenue district office. So hindi po, ang nire-require po talaga under the GPPB Resolution 01-2014, yung pong tax clearance so secured from the appropriate office po ng BIR. Excuse me. So again, for statement of all ongoing government and private contracts, all ongoing, take note, whether government or private contracts, yan po yung requirement po natin. Whether similar or not similar, because our intention really is to look at how much pa yung kailangan niyang bubunuin for that particular ongoing projects. So similar or not similar, whether contract with government or private entities. Okay? So take note, actually meron ho tayong tinatawag na mandatory provision pero wala hong mandatory template na mandatory provision or information po should be included in the statement of all ongoing and private contracts. Okay? So for single that applying the general rule which is the 25 and 50% will result to failure of bidding or monopoly. Then we can require at least two similar contracts. Take note, for single largest completed contract dapat similar po siya ang SLCC po natin, no? Okay. Again, private or government, basta similar contract po, no? So, what will happen if we allow the exemption, no? So, example po for expendable goods, focus lang po tayo dyan sa first column, na pareho naman po yung application niya sa non-expendable. Di ba? By the way, yung expendable goods po, these are items which are, the value of which is reduced within 1 year, whether in-store nyo man po, ginamit po ninyo, yung value po niya ay marireduce within 1 year. No? Yun naman na expendable, yung useful life po niya ay more than 1 year. No? For expendable goods, let's take for example, the approved budget for the contract is 1 million. So the required percentage, di ba, for single contract is 25%. That's 250,000. So what if the bidder submitted single largest completed contract containing two contracts? The first contract is showing 100,000 pesos na kompleto po niya, and then the second contract is 200 pesos. If you total the two, because the requirement is for the total of the two contracts to be equivalent, the value of the two contracts is equal or more than the required percentage. So here, if you total the first contract of 100 and the second contract 200, that's 300 compared to 250, pasok po siya dun sa required percentage. The other requirement is that the largest of the two contracts, or the contract with the highest value, is at least 50% of the required percentage. So in this case, 50% again of 250, which is the requirement, 125,000. If you compare it with the contract with the largest value of 200,000, pasok pa rin to. So this time, pwede ho ninyong i-consider yung kanyang two contracts. No? Exemption po yun dun sa general rule. For the infra projects, the single largest completed contract should be similar to the contract to be bid, with the same major categories of work. So let's be more liberal on what are similar projects as far as infra is concerned. No? So kung vertical man po yan, doesn't mean na pag nagpapakonstruct po tayo ng 3-story, dapat yung previous niya na contract, dapat 3-story po. Basta vertical ho yan, at pare-pareho yung categories of work, no? Rather yung component work, pwede na ho natin yan i-consider. No? Kung flood control projects man yan or roads man yan, no? Doesn't mean kung 6 meter, ano ba yan, kung ano ho yung kanyang width, no? Basta meron siyang previous experience on the construction of roads, etc. So let's be liberal on that. For the single largest completed contract, the value must be 50% of the ABC to be bid upon adjustment to current prices using the Philippine Statistics Authority Consumer Price Indices. No? Meron hong exemption for infra, no? To give chance to those newly established na mga construction firm. We can allow, no? Even if wala ho siyang single largest completed contract equivalent to 50%, pwede ho yung small A and small value B contractors to participate for as long as the cost of the contract is not more than the ARCC, yung allowable range of contract cost. Okay, so they're required also to submit the pickup license, a special pickup license for the joint venture, and it must be valid at the time of the deadline for submission and opening of bids. Okay, so we do not accept temporary pickup license, just to explain, kasi usually nag-i-issue daw si pickup ng temporary license while the pickup license is being processed. Ang turnaround kasi time or the processing time is 20 days. So sometimes baka dun ho nag-fall yung schedule of the deadline. But for the purpose of okay, whether to accept the pickup license temporary or not, hindi ho siya ina-allow under GPPB Resolution number 10-2019. Audited financial statement, so nire-require siya just to check the financial capacity, no? Showing the bidder's total. This information is contained in the Annex A din po ng Platinum Certificate, na nandun na po yan kung magkano po yung current assets and current liabilities. There should be stamp received by the BIR, and the audited financial statement for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than 2 years. Meaning, halimbawa, last year ho, yung audited financial statement niya hindi pa ho available. Yung preceding year po na audited financial statement can still be considered, no? Dahil kung nagpo-procure ho tayo during the first quarter or first semester of the year, sometimes these audited financial statements are not yet available. They're still processing it and they're still being filed in the Bureau of Internal Revenue. That's why yung previous pa na audited financial statement can be considered. So NFCC, current asset minus current liabilities, multiplied by the constant factor of 15, then less the completed, outstanding or uncompleted portions of the projects under ongoing contracts, including awarded but not yet started. Okay, for goods, pwede po yung credit line certificate, no? Secured from the bank. Okay, so just to clarify, this is a good policy, no? In order again to allow to give chance dun sa mga newly established na mga businesses, pwede ho sila makipag-partner. Because in the joint venture, what is required is for all partners or both partners to submit all the technical, the legal eligibility documents. So all partners must submit legal eligibility documents. So we mentioned field of certificate, under platinum, or those actual eligibility documents. But for the technical, say the single largest completed contract, any of the partner. Yun po yun, no? For the financial, NFCC, any of the partner, no? Can submit. If compliant na po yun, then we can consider their proposal. For project requirements, conformity with schedule of requirements for goods, and then conformity with the technical specifications. So, yan po sa goods, nasa sections po yan ng ating bidding documents. Okay? Usually, nagsistate lang sila ng comply, and then they sign the document. For infra, they need to submit organizational chart, list of contractors, key personnel, and list of contractors, major equipment. Now, this is very important, especially number 2, because some agencies are experiencing, or LGUs, so biglang sinab-contract na hindi namin alam, hindi namin kilala yung nandyan. So, magbase ka dun yun sa sinabit na key personnel, of course, may mga pangalan yan, and if you really want in the actual implementation, hingin mo yung ID. So, yun yung mga ways of, checking whether or not these people are the persons being assigned as provided in the contractor's key personnel, lalo na yung project engineer. Sir, what if sinabi nung contractor na absent daw, nagkasakit or nag-resign na, no? And mga matatalino yung mga bidders natin, no? Okay, so for consulting services, they have to accomplish this. Ito yung binabanggit ko kanina na kaya hindi pa sila required to submit their proposals. Kasi dito sa technical proposals, if you can observe, ang dami ho. Technical proposal, ito yung covering form ho nila, consultants references, comments and suggestions of consultants on the TOR, aaralin po niyan. Methodology and work plan, team composition, curriculum vitae, time schedule. So ang dami po, ito pa lang, kahit yung activity work schedule, na mind-boggling po yan, no? Pag ginagawa po natin yan. Hirap po yan, no? Hirap pong gawin yan. So that's why we are not requiring it. Expression of interest muna, shortlisting, at pag pumasa sila, dun sila mag-prepare ng kanilang proposals, di ba? So yan, dahil because of these technical documents. Bid security. We mentioned about the bid validity. So the bid security will guarantee this bid validity. Tama ba yung term na yan? Okay, no. So yung bid security is a guarantee that the bidder will not default on its offer and eventually will sign the contract. No? So pag hindi ho siya nagtuloy sa kanyang offer, then ito ho, mafo-forfeit ho natin. In the case of the bid securing declaration, we're going to enforce the bid securing declaration. Now, marami hong, before, meron pa mga agencies na hindi dito convinced to use the bid securing declaration. Meron silang pinalabas na kung ano-anong order na pag nag-submit daw ng bid securing declaration, dapat mag-submit. Wala hong matinong suppliers or bidders na magkukumit, di ba? No, sworn pa ito, no? I mean, inaano pa ho ito, ipanonotarize pa ho ito. Wala hong matinong bidder na magsasabi sa'yo na sige, pag hindi ako tumuloy or I'll be violating the requirements, I will be suspended, I will be blacklisted, and I will pay fine, no? Wala hong matinong ganun. Kaya mas mabigat po itong bid securing declaration. So ano po yung bid securing declaration? A document or undertaken signed by the bidder committing to pay the corresponding fine. How do we compute the fine? Magkano yung in-offer niya na price? We compare it with the next lowest price. Kung 30 bidder yan, so the difference yun ho yung babayaran niya. Or kung nag-iisa lamang po siyang supplier, single lang po siya, we compare it with the approved budget for the contract. Whatever is the difference, yun po yung magiging fine niya. So yan po, no? So penalty of disqualification for 2 years from bidding for any procurement contract with any sino matinong bidder na papayag niyan, no? Mabigat. So hindi siya makapag-participate. Not only with that particular procuring entity, pa nag-blacklist po yan lahat ng government agencies. So mas mabigat po yan. Yan. Again, Omnibus One Statement will help you enforce all those commitments provided by the supplier. So sigurista talaga si government. So meron ka dyan 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, actually 10 ho yan na items in the Omnibus One Statement. Pero dito kasi na of course yung signatories authority na lang po dyan. So yan ho yung provision, no? Sworn statement po. Sasabihin ho ni bidder that I am not included in the blacklist, no? And ang bagong provision po dyan by association, o kung yung spouse man kung sole proprietor yan, yung spouse niya ay actually meron ding, for example, a business na blacklist po. No? So, yung association or affiliation with that blacklisted will also apply sa iyo. So hindi ka rin po pwedeng mag-participate if that company is blacklisted. So kasama po yan. Then authenticity of the documents. Kaya hindi na ho natin i-require yung original kasi sinasabi na yun. Na submitted copies are the authentic copies of the original. No? So kahit photocopy na po yan because this omnibus statement should be signed, no? Should be submitted in original form. No? Signatories authority, verification authority is very important because this will provide the necessary authority for the procuring entity or the Business Awards Committee when they will conduct verification. Because sometimes, for example, the bank will require authorization for you to ask information or for them to release any information as regards, for example, the accounts, etc., etc. So this will help you facilitate, no, the verification of the documents. Then who is the authorized signatory? This is also important because ito yung, siyempre, malalaman natin kung sino yung authorized representative, authorized to sign the, this is accompanied by the special power of attorney in the case of single proprietorship. In the case of the corporation, dapat meron pong secretary certificate. Now, it's a good practice when you conduct pre-bid conference, you can tell them na pwede ba unahin ho ninyo as the first document that we can see yung special power of attorney or the secretary certificate para makita na ho namin the succeeding documents that indeed it was signed by the authorized representative. So on and so forth, including the compliance with the labor laws and standards. And ito po yung bago, in case of advance payment, usually yung 15% na binabayad ho natin, meron po mga contractors na tinatawag natin intro boys pag nakuha na nila yung 15% mobilization, di mo na makikita. So, they will be facing criminal liability or estafa. Okay, so again, scanned copies of the first envelope with the required form shall be considered as compliant with the requirement, provided yung bid security or the bid securing declaration, no, and the omnibus statement must be submitted, no, in original form, no. Okay. So non-submission of this form shall be ground for post-disqualification. Okay? Ma'am Monica? Knowledge check.
Yes, sir. For our third knowledge check question, kindly answer na po ulit sa ating pong pop-up poll that shall be flashed in our screens. Now, for our third knowledge check question, may I request our technical team po again to please flash our question. All right. The question is, procuring entities cannot add another requirement to nor delete any requirement from the identified list of eligibility requirements. Is this true or false? Again, the question is, procuring entities cannot add another requirement to nor delete any requirement from the identified list of eligibility requirements. For our Facebook Live viewers, drop your answers through the Facebook Live comments section. While we are waiting po, Director Ahmad, for our participants to answer our third knowledge check question, quick announcement lang po again for our participants, our Facebook Live viewers, participants, no? For those interested po, to join our 10th and final batch next week, exclusive, of course, to municipal local government units, you may still join us because registration po is still open. All you have to do is to just register through the link that is pinned by Billy Bayong in our Facebook Live comments section. All right. So 34% po of our Zoom participants are currently answering our third knowledge check question. I hope everyone po, how about the others po? Are you having technical difficulties po answering through the Zoom poll? Please let us know so we can assist you po accordingly. All right, let us have the results po. All right. So 70% po, Director,
Wow.
answered
Yan.
true, while 30% po answered false.
Yes, maganda na yan kahit hindi natin nabanggit, no. At least 70 majority of them, no, alam nila yung rule na hindi tayo pwedeng magdagdag or magbawas ng mga requirements. So yun na po yung minimum requirement as well as maximum. We cannot add. We are prescribed or prohibited from adding documents or delete any document. So the answer is true. No? Congratulations po dun sa updated naman po sila. So we cannot add any document. No? Doon po sa eligibility, technical, and financial. We can include any statement in the technical, lalo yung specifications, but we do not require submission during opening. That is subject to post-qualification. Doon nating hanapin. Halimbawa, nag-include ho tayo ng requirement at dapat registered po yung product sa FDA, di ba? So in the post-qualification, hanapin natin yung Certificate of Product Registration to explain. So yan po, bawal po ang procuring entity mag-add or mag-delete ng any requirement as identified the list of eligibility requirements. Okay? Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Director.
Sige, Ma'am Monica, we'll no longer have a break. We'll proceed. Habulin ko na naman.
Yes, sir.
Okay pa
time
ho
check
yung
po,
participants natin.
Opo, it's
Can you show me your
11.
Time's up. Okay pa ho tayo, calamity. Or yung meron ho tayong, you're facing restrictions, movement, or quarantines, we can allow the submission of unauthorized bid securing declaration. Because expectedly, syempre walang notarized notarial service, sarado po yung mga bangko, yung mga firms, wala po masyadong activities. No? So we can understand the situation. That's why, as an alternative document that can be accepted during the state of calamity, we allow unauthorized bid securing declaration, expired business mayor's permit. Ang kaibahan po nito, do we still allow under normal situation yung submission of the recently expired mayor's permit dito before payment. Yung sa isa during post-qualification. Okay? Omnibus sworn statement subject to compliance therewith after award of contract but before payment. Okay. So for the second envelope, it will contain the bid form, the applicable bid prices, okay, and then certification if the bidder, domestic bidder, is claiming for domestic preference, a certificate from the DTI that indeed that bidder is claiming for domestic preference. For infra projects, financial bid form, bid prices in the bill of quantities, of course, the detailed estimates and the cash flow by quarter. Okay? Before I forget, nakalimutan ko during the pre-procurement conference, dapat isa ho titingnan natin yung consistency po ng ating mga specifications at saka yung ating mga entries or information contained in the bidding documents. Kasi may mga cases halimbawa, doon sa infra natin ang specifications na nakalagay supply and installation of air conditioning units. Tapos pagdating doon sa bill of quantities, ang nalagay na lang po ay installation. Syempre, ang i-quote lang doon ng contractor, yun lang para sa installation, expecting that yung supply ay manggagaling mismo sa procuring entity. So we have to be consistent. If the specification would say supply and installation, then in the bill of quantities should be provided also yung supply. No? So for consulting services, we have so many financial documents that we require. I think 6 po ito. No? Financial proposal, submission form, summary of cost, breakdown of price per activity, breakdown of reimbursable and miscellaneous expenses. So meron ho itong mga specific na mga requirements. Okay? Okay, so after opening, we do the evaluation in order to establish the lowest calculated bid, no? Establishing the correct calculated prices as well ranking these calculated prices, no? And yun po, yung lalabas po doon is called abstract of bid, no? As calculated, no? Okay. So again, just to emphasize po yung prohibition on communication with bidder from bid evaluation until award of contract, including the observer, bawal ho mag-communicate with the bidder. And you know, pag meron ho kasing communication, baka magkaroon po ng negotiation or whatever. So hindi ho inalaw. But the Bids and Awards Committee, as an action, no, yun po yung decision ng BAP, can actually communicate with the bidder if they want to clarify, no, any part of the submission, no. Yan, but it must be done in writing and the response must be done in writing also by that concerned bidder. So this is very elementary po. I do not wish to discuss anymore this. Alam naman natin yan, no? Mayroong discrepancy between, for example, the figures and the bid prices and words. Dahil hindi, mahirap pong i-tamper or i-change or i-modify yung pong bid prices and words. So the bid prices and words will prevail over the bid price and figures if there's discrepancy. So, if the domestic bidder is claiming for domestic preference, what we do is just to add 15% dun ho sa foreign bid of the, okay? Dun sa foreign bidder, mag-add ho tayo ng 15% and then we try to compare the submitted price or the calculated bid and that of the foreign bidder. If in case the calculated bid of the domestic bidder is lower, then we can award the contract, but dun po sa calculated bid po ni foreign bidder and not on the calculated, in this case, dun po sa 2.6 million. Okay? So, for consulting services, okay, the opening and evaluation of proposals for maximum of 75 calendar days and preliminary examination using non-discretionary pass or fail shall be conducted before the detailed evaluation of it. So how do we evaluate in the case of consulting? So there are two methods in evaluating quality cost, quality-based, meaning from the term itself, we only consider or evaluate the technical proposal. Technical proposal lang, kung sino man yung makakuha ng highest rating will be considered the highest rated bid. No? Or we can also use the quality cost-based evaluation, meaning we are going to factor in the evaluation the financial proposal. So technical and the financial, we're going to evaluate, assign weights dun sa two variables, and then we get the total. And whatever is the, kung sino man po yung bidder that will get the highest rating will be considered the highest rated bid. Okay, so the entire evaluation process from opening submission to the submission of bid evaluation results to from proposal opening to submission of the bid should not exceed 21 calendar days. Okay, so when do we use the quality-based evaluation? If the project or consulting services would involve complex or highly specialized assignment for which it is difficult to make certain or define the terms of reference, and the required inputs from the consultants would be substantive to affect the terms of reference, then we can focus only on the technical proposal. Or where the assignment can be carried out substantially in different ways, meaning hindi pare-pareho, no? So siguro ang the other scenario here is yung baliktad nito, yung cadastral natin, di ba? Pare-pareho naman ang approach yan, pare-pareho naman ng methodologies na ginagawa. But what if the project would somehow involve different ways of carrying it or doing it, no? So in that case, we just focus on the technical proposal, no? Technical proposal, so we consider only technical proposal. So for other cases, we can use the quality cost based. No? Okay, so the flow for quality based, of course, submit sila ng technical nila at saka financial, then we will open first the technical proposal and then evaluate, no? So yun po, evaluate, irarank, and then isasubmit natin yung recommendation dun po sa highest rated po natin kay head of the procuring entity, and then notify the bidder with the highest rated bid, and then open the financial proposal and then negotiate. So yun po yung process flow niyan. For quality cost based, since i-consider na natin yung financial proposal, so i-open natin yung technical proposal, evaluate natin, and then we will also open the financial proposal and then compute. Meron ho tayong ways of determining paano ho yung point system niyan. And then, of course, we total kung ilan po yung rate na kuha niya sa technical and the financial, yun po yung magiging basis po natin in determining the highest rated bid. No? Then we submit again to the HOPE for the approval and then notify the highest rated bid and then we negotiate. So yun po yung flow. Now, how do we do this? We can do the evaluation individually or in collegial. No? Kung individual po yan, each member or each evaluator or member of the BAC will rate based on certain criteria. Later, we'll show you the criteria, possible criteria po na i-adapt ninyo. So individually, i-rate po nila. And then we're going to make an average of these ratings. For example, if you assign 5 evaluators or all the members will evaluate, so i-divide po natin ng 5. Mas madali po yung collegial because as a body, you're going to rate them. No? So pag-usapan ho ninyo. So in the collegial evaluation, aside from mas madali po siya, may iwasan po yung subjectivity dito or yung biases. Kasi pag individual kasi, syempre, any member or evaluator will tend to provide highest scores or lowest scores. But that can be lessened, yung biases na yan, no? If we adopt the Olympic style of scoring. So in this example, this is the individual evaluation. So for every evaluator or member of the BAC will provide scores for each firm. So in that case, no, meron no silang dyan binigay na scores. And if you're going to average for each firm, ang lumalabas po dyan, the number 3 po siya. So, again, we use this, itong pag-eliminate ng outliers, ng highest and lowest scores to eliminate biases or subjectivity in providing the rating. So, you can use this criteria, quality of personnel, titingnan natin, educational background, yung kung ano man ho yung mga capacities or expertise of the technical proposal, and then we compute for the rating for the financial proposal. So in this case, how do we assign points or compute the rating for financial? So yung lowest will be assigned 100 points. Tapos yung kanyang proposal will be the numerator, yung proposal ngayon ng other firms will be the denominator. So in this case, the lowest financial proposal is from firm 2 with 1 million. So 100 points po kanya. Yung sunod po sa kanya is 1.1 million. So therefore 1 million divided by 1.1, that is 90.9. Again, to get the total scores, yung score niya obtained in the technical proposal plus the score the firm obtained in the financial, we total, that's the total score. Yun po yung magiging basis po natin to determine the highest rated bid. Okay? Then we negotiate. So ito yung dinidiscuss ho natin sa kanila. Of course, the terms of reference, clarification, finalization, terms of reference, scope of service, work program, financial proposal, the contract, provisions, what are the facility service to be provided by the procuring entity. Okay. So for post-qualification, of course, the lowest calculated bid in the case of goods and infra and the highest rated bid will be issued the notice of lowest calculated bid, and then they will provide the necessary post-qualification requirements or documents. So non-discretionary pass or fail criteria pa rin yung ginagamit natin to verify, ascertain, or validate the statements or assertions or information contained in the documents by the lowest calculated bid. It should be done not to exceed 12 calendar days. In exceptional cases po, pwede pong 45 calendar days, or 30 calendar days in the case of consulting services. So post-qualification should be completed in not more than 12 calendar days. Again, magsasubmit po si lowest calculated bid ng kanyang documents. If in case na ma-post disqualified po, ma-DQ po yung ating lowest calculated bid, then we can proceed with the next lowest calculated bid. And the BAC will notify the bidder with the, okay. So ito po yung mga documents na sasubmit po niya for post-qualification, latest income and business tax returns, and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law. Okay. So during post-qualification, we can also check the performance of the bidder. Meron bang delay in the partial delivery of goods amounting to 10% due to their fault, bidder's fault? There's a bidder's failure to deliver or perform, again, due to bidder's fault or unsatisfactory performance. So we can disqualify if we establish that this poor performance on the ongoing contracts is due to the fault of the bidder. For infra, ongoing contract 15%, maganda ho ito, itong nagiging basehan sana natin, but in actual practice, marami pong agencies that tend to allow even if beyond 15%, okay pa rin po yun. But ang rules ho natin, doon sa guidelines in the implementation of contract, dapat pag umabot ng 15% yung slippage, dapat termination na po yun. Yung 5% po, yung catch up, then 10% catch up, then 1 week or 2 weeks monitoring, then 1 week monitoring, etc. So if on the ongoing contracts, due to the bidder's fault, meron ho tayong mga na-encounter na failure to contract to commence repair works, failure to contract to commence repair works on contracts with pending certificates, substandard quality, that could be ground for disqualification. If you have foreign bidder, before the award of contract, dapat magsasubmit po siya within 10 calendar days from the receipt of the winning bidder of the notice of award, at magsasubmit po siya ng SEC certificate of registration. Meron pong recent issuance si GPP about the rules po, about the rules of the Security and Exchange Commission. Not necessarily talagang they can secure the SEC certificate. So let's be updated on that. The BAC shall recommend award of contract to the lowest calculated and responsive bid or highest rated and responsive bid. Take note, at submitted price or calculated price. Just to clarify, so whichever is lower between the two. For purposes of determining the lowest calculated bid, we base it on the calculated price. Yung isa subject natin sa post-qualification. But when we award the contract, whichever is lower between the submitted and the calculated price. Okay? So the BAC, and don't forget also that there's a need to also notify the other bidders na meron na pala kayong recommendation to the hope of the award of contract. And then the hope has 15 calendar days to act on the recommendation of the Bids and Awards Committee. Okay? So award of contract, posting requirements, yung notice of award within 3 calendar days sa bulletin board, sa field jobs, at saka dito po sa website if there's any, within 3 calendar days from the issuance. Take note, from the issuance, not the signing, but from the issuance of the notice of award. Okay? So, award of contract, of course, is subject to the following conditions within 10 calendar days. Of course, if joint venture yan, submission of joint venture agreement, etc., etc. But, importante po dito yung pag-post ng performance security. Take note, before you sign the contract, dapat makapag-post or makapag-submit muna siya ng performance security. In fact, before you release the bid security, dapat mag-submit mo siya ng performance security before you sign the contract. Sigurista tayo para hindi tayo maunahan po ng ating bidders. Signing of contract upon compliance with all documentary requirements and if required approval by the higher authority. Take note, all the mandatory periods for different periods provided in RA 9184 within which certain stages of procurement must be performed, must be completed, is not merely directory but rather mandatory. So meron tayong basehan dyan. Because if we fail to observe even the mandatory periods, it might render our procurement defective and therefore the ensuing contract may be null and void, declared null and void. Okay? So for reenacted budget, I think for local government units, pwede lang kayong mag-reenact doon sa mga personal services po ninyo and as well as yung po mga essential operating or mandatory requirements. So po pwede pa rin kayong mag-award yan under the reenacted budget kasi sa LGUs kasi meron pa rin, you can use the reenacted budget. Okay. Performance security. So we mentioned bid security is about a guarantee for the bidder not to default on its offer and then sign the contract. Here, pag bago tayo pipirma ng contract, pag issue natin ng notice of award, dapat magsasubmit po sila because this will guarantee now the performance on the part of the winning bidder to perform all obligations of the contract. And when we say contract, it includes all documents, including the bidding documents at saka yung mga pinag-submit niya. Not just the contract form. Marami ho dyan nagkakamali na, hindi naman kami covered dahil wala naman nakalagay dun sa contract. Take note, ang contract po natin will also cover the bidding document. So, yan po yung performance security in the form of cash. This time, sa bid security, ang basis is the approved budget for the contract. For the performance security, yung contract price po. So, meron ho tayong percentage dyan. Okay. During state of calamity, we can allow the submission of performance securing declaration. Maganda rin po yung yung framework agreement. So usually ito inaalaw ito sa framework agreement. So this time inaalaw na rin po sa regular na procurement po natin, quote and unquote, but during state of calamity. Halos kapareho ito ng bid securing declaration. Okay? So contract signing would require approval of higher authority. Again, we mentioned 20 calendar days for NGAs or GOCCs. Ito pong board po natin composed of several people, collegial body, 30 calendar days. Ma'am?
Letter B, field jobs and social media platforms of the procuring entity. Or letter C, PhilJEP's official website and social media platforms of the PE. Quick reminder lang po again for our Zoom participants, please accomplish our participants' daily attendance day 3 by clicking the link provided in our chat box, as this will be part po of the requirements for the provision of your respective certificates. Ayan, 30% po of our Zoom participants are currently answering the question. Ayan, mukhang makaka 100% tayo, Director.
Very good, very good. In the previous batch kasi hindi natin na-mention. Ngayon, na-mention ko na talaga, learning from the experience.
Naba.
Pero maganda rin yun, kung hindi mo babanggitin, at least malalaman mo kung sino talaga nagbabasa ng resolution.
Correct, Director Akman.
Joke lang. Malamang nagbasa yan sila, ma'am. Kaya perfect yung kanilang sagot. Nagbasa siguro yung mga yan. Noong 04-2021.
How about our Facebook Live viewers? I believe makuha din po nila ang correct answer. So, let's go po. Let us reveal ano po ang correct answer. Direct.
Yan! Una po, nakakataba ng puso. At least nakikinig talaga sila. Okay, so congratulations, yeah. Indeed, no? Requirement po yung field jobs, official website, social media platforms, hindi lang po dun sa post-award documents, pati din po dun sa procurement opportunity. Thank you very much and congratulations everyone. I'm very happy. Pwede na ho kung matulog mamaya ng mahimbing dahil yung mga participants.
Ayan, Director, meron po tayong tatlong participant from our Facebook Live viewer ang sumagot po ng correct answer.
Ayan, very good. Yung iba, never mind na lang. Joke.
Yes po.
Sige po, we proceed. So I think
Yes,
5 minutes na lang kakailangan natin
Yes,
for
po.
the remaining slides. Okay?
This will be our final part na po of our lecture proper.
Thank you, Ma'am
back to you,
Monica.
sir.
Okay, so for the notice to proceed, issue once within 7 calendar days from the approval of the contract because this will provide the information when to commence the project or delivery. No? So yan po yung importance po ng notice to proceed. Pag in-issue po natin yan, malalaman nila kung kailan sila mag-uumpisa. So all notices called for by the terms of the contract shall be effective only at the time of receipt, no? At the time of receipt of the winning bidder. And then the notice to proceed, including the contract, should be posted in the bulletin board, field jobs, and in the website if there is, no, within 15 calendar days from the date of issuance. Take note, marami hong hindi pa nag-comply nito. Mandatory requirement po ito. Within 15 calendar days from the date of issuance, you need to post also the notice to proceed and the contract. So na-reiterate lang po dito, yung notice of award within 3 calendar days, yung notice to proceed 15 calendar days from the date of issuance. No? Take note of that. Okay? So ito ho yung earlier na knowledge check question. Posting of procurement documents should be done, no? on the field jobs, on the agency's official website, no? And the social media platform. Yan. For those agencies under the executive branch for ABC with for approved budget for the contract of 50 million and above, we still have to post the award or publish in the newspaper general circulation at least once. No? Okay, so yan po yung binabanggit natin. Once, no? Not at least, but also be published once in the newspaper of general circulation. Okay. Failure of bidding, we have Section 35. This is the power of the Bids and Awards Committee to declare failure of bidding for the reasons attributed to the fault or acts of the bidders. One, pag wala nag-submit na bidders, of course, wala kang magawa. You can declare failure of bidding. Or nag-submit man sila, ineligible lahat, or neligible man sila, na post-disqualify, or meron na post-qualified, meaning pumasa po siya but refused to accept the award. So in these cases, kung titinan po, these are all faults or attributed to the acts of the bidder. In this case, ang magdi-declare po ng failure of bidding si Bids and Awards Committee. May power po sila dyan. Wala naman silang magagawa dyan eh. So ano pong gagawin after encountering this failure of bidding? Ang gagawin po ni BAC, magma-mandatory review po. The term itself, kailangan mandatory review. Primarily, to know the reason why nag-fail po yung bidding. Before you proceed with another round of bidding, bago kayo mag-post again, you have to review in order to know the reasons, possible reasons of the failure. Now, if in case it would require adjustment on the specifications or even on the approved budget for the contract, up to 20%, you can do that. But take note, doon po sa revision po or adjustment po ng approved budget for the contract, subject po ito sa budgeting rules or approval, lalo na sa local government unit. Siyempre, kung ano yung budget, hanggang doon ka lang. Kaya ang tendency nito, they tend to reduce the quantity. And if you do so, wag ho kayo mag-decide na basta-basta ibababa yung approved budget for the contract without consulting the end user. Dapat yung information must come from the end user. And after the review, kung nakapag-adjust man po kayo, whatever is the reason, then you conduct rebidding posting. No? Okay. Now, the BAC is also given the authority to cancel or terminate procurement activities based on reasons, hindi ho ito attributed dun sa bidders. This is part of the Section 41, no? If the physical, economic conditions have significantly changed as to render the project no longer. Ito ho, initially sa applicable sa state of, pero inadapt po ito, no? Kahit sa regular situation po natin, or the project is no longer necessary as determined by the end user, meaning meron po ditong consultation with the end user, or the source of funds has been withdrawn or withdrew or reduced, or ito ho ang pinaka-importante ho dyan, brought about by the declaration of state of calamity, no? Kasi may mga cases nga tayo na hindi nila ma-proceed yun dahil limited movement, may quarantine, etc. O walang supplier nagsasanin, so they can readily cancel, no? If these are the reasons, the BAC is given the power to cancel or terminate the procurement activities. Now, sir, does the head of the procuring entity, no, have the power to also declare? Meron din po under Section 41. And these are actually attributed naman sa procuring entity, not necessarily doon po sa ating mga bidders. So, what are the grounds for this? Prima facie evidence of collusion, or the BAC is found to have failed to observe the prescribed bidding procedures, or for justifiable reason, the award of contract will not redound to the benefit of the procuring entity for the following reasons. Almost kanina, pareho po niyan. But this is Section 41 now. For purposes of, before the knowledge check, for purposes of resorting to negotiated procurement to fail biddings, dapat ang reasons po must be based on Section 35 lang, ha? And not even a combination of Section 35 and Section 41. Dapat Section 35 lang. Na to prevent, kasi pag inalaw natin yung Section 41 for the purpose of resorting to negotiated procurement to fail biddings, baka pwedeng sadyain ni BAC, halimbawa, not to observe any procedure para lang ma-declare of failure. Kaya Section 35 lang yung possible reason. Now, if there is another failure of bidding on the second time or in the second round of the bidding, then you still have to conduct mandatory review para malaman ho ninyo yung reason. And then, of course, you can still conduct public bidding, then public bidding. Pero the law or the rules already allows you to resort to failed bidding if in case you want to procure through to negotiated procurement to fail. Ma'am Monica.
And sir, finally, we are down to the fifth and final knowledge check question for this virtual learning session. And the question is, which is a valid ground for the cancellation of procurement activity by the BAC under GPPB Resolution number 09-2020? Letter A, change in management. Letter B, unavailability of PE's website, social media, and PhilJEP's website. Letter C, brought about by the declaration of a state of calamity or implementation of community quarantine or similar restriction. Or letter D, none of the above.
Ayan, I'm expecting still 100%. Kaya natin yan. Pakita natin sa GPPB TSO na nakikinig tayo. No? Never mind the speaker. Never mind the speaker.
However, presently we have 78% who answered C, while 22% director answered letter D. Sa ating pong Facebook Live viewers, ayan, letter C po naman ang sa ating pong Facebook Live.
May sumabit pa, no? Bakit none of the above? Sabi natin, pwedeng mag-cancel for 4 reasons, no? In-emphasize ko pa nga, no? Dapat state of calamity, pwedeng mag-cancel or mag-terminate as one of the recourse ng Bids and Awards Committee. Pwede siya mag-suspend, pwede siya mag-terminate, pwede siya mag-cancel, no? Para magkaroon siya ng flexibility, no? Because of the, limited movement during state of calamity. Yan. So the answer is letter C. I'd like to congratulate everyone still, no? Baka konti lang yan. Isa lang yung sumagot ng 90 dyan sa letter D. Anyways, we proceed. I think this will be the last slide, no? I think.
Yes,
okay.
Sir. Opo, that actually ends.
Medyo okay na.
Opo, that actually ends our discussion proper po, no? Again, that was Director Asmad Osman of the Department of Budget and Management Regional Office 12. And again, thank you very much po, sir, for leading a very in-depth, and a very interactive discussion on standard bidding procedures for goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services. Of course, to our participants po for actively participating in our knowledge check portions, thank you all very much. Now, sir, I would like to respectfully ask po sana, would you like to have a quick short break before we proceed?
I
with our
agree.
open forum.
I submit, Honorable Monica. Joke lang. Sige po, mag-break muna tayo.
Alright, sige po. For all of our participants no, before we jump right through our much-awaited open forum po, no, let us just be back po siguro. Let us have a quick short break and let us be back perhaps after 5 minutes. Thank you all and see you in a short while.
Yan ang ulam natin.
Wow! Adobong manok!
Mabango. Masarap. Subo na. Simulan sa sarsa.
Malasa!
Pasok ang lasa. Pero may isang hindi pasok. Matigas ang manok. Bakit kaya? Dahil pangit ang quality ng manok. Minadali pa ang pagluluto. Ay, sayang ang pera. Dapat mitikuloso. Tama?
Tama!
Ganyan din sa gobyerno natin. Gusto natin ng masarap na adobo. Matinong proseso na mula sa maayos na pagpaplano. Ang pagbili ng gamit ng gobyerno ay dapat nakaayon sa proseso upang matiyak ang pagbili ay sulit. Huwag munang magkamot ng ulo. Madali lang ang procurement. Hindi ito komplikado. Kailangan lang ng masusing pagpaplano at pagsunod sa proseso na itinakda ng Republic Act 9184. Ang RA 9184, mas kilala bilang Government Procurement Reform Act o GPRA, ay ang batas na nagtakda ng tamang proseso sa pagbili ng mga pangangailangan ng gobyerno, kagaya ng supplies, mga equipment, at general support services. Bahagi ng proseso ng pagbili ay ang procurement planning. Dito, nagpa-prioritize ng projects ang mga ahensya para makamit ang kanilang goals sang-ayon sa long-term plan ng buong gobyerno. Kasama rito ang pagtukoy sa tamang specifications at budget para sa procurement project. Lahat ng napagdesisyonan ng procurement projects ng isang ahensya ay ililista sa kanilang Annual Procurement Plan o APP kada taon. Anumang hindi nakalista sa APP ay hindi maaaring bilhin ng ahensya.
Bakit?
Para masiguro ang matalino at wastong paggamit ng pondo.
Tapos?
Para makasiguro na kumpleto at wastong lahat ng dokumento, ang ahensya ay magkakandak ng pre-procurement conference bago simulan ang pagbili. Mahalaga na malinaw ang pagkakasaad ng specifications and requirements sa bidding documents. Sunod dito ang paglalathala ng invitation to bid para hikayatin ang mga potential bidders na sumali sa procurement. Bago ang takdang araw ng pagsumite ng bids, magkakaroon ng pre-bid conference kung saan pag-uusapan kasama ang mga interesadong bidders ang lahat ng detalye tungkol sa proyekto. Ang mga interesadong bidders ay dapat palalahanan sa deadline ng submission of bids. Hindi kasi pwedeng tumanggap ng bid lagpas sa itinakdang petsa at oras. Tandaan na ang bid ay dapat na selyado at naglalaman ng dalawang hiwalay at selyadong envelopes kung saan nakapaloob ang mga required technical at financial documents. Ang technical envelope ay naglalaman ng mga dokumento na magpapatunay na eligible ang bidder na sumali sa procurement at ng kanyang technical na kakayanang i-deliver ang goods. Ang financial envelope naman ay naglalaman ng presyo na iniaalok ng bidder para sa proyekto. Isa-isang idadaan ng BAC sa simpleng pass or fail preliminary examination ang mga natanggap na bids para matukoy kung kumpleto ang mga dokumento at kung naaayon ito sa pamantayan. Unang bubuksan ang technical envelope ng lahat ng bidders. Kapag kulang o mali ang dokumentong nasa technical envelope ng bidder, hindi na bubuksan ang kanyang financial envelope. Ibig sabihin, tanggal na siya sa bidding. Kapag na-scrutinize na ang lahat ng technical envelopes, ang una, masigurong kumpleto at naaayon sa pamantayan ang mga impormasyon. At ikalawa, masigurong hindi labi sa ABC ang presyong ini-offer ng bidder. Pagkatapos nito, ay irarank ang mga nakapasang bids mula sa pinakamababang presyo. Ang pinakamababang bid ang tataguriang lowest calculated bid o LCB na isasalang sa post-qualification.
Post-qualification?
Ito ang proseso kung saan sinusuri ng BAC o ng Technical Working Group ang mga dokumento at impormasyong isinumite para matiyak na lahat ay tama at nasa ayos. Sinusuri rin ang mga nakaraang kontrata, pasilidad, produkto at pati pinansyal na katayuan ng LCB para masigurong kaya nitong i-deliver ang goods.
Bakit?
Dahil sa ganitong paraan, masisiguro ng BAC na ang mananalong bidder ay hindi lamang basta mababa ang presyo, kundi ito ay technically qualified. Kapag napatunayan sa pagsusuri na ang LCB ay nakapasa sa legal, technical, at financial requirements, ito ay tatawaging bidder na may lowest calculated responsive bid o LCRB na irerekomenda na gawaran ng kontrata.
Ah!
O ayan, ang proseso ng procurement sa gobyerno ay kasing dali lang ng pagluluto ng adobo. Kapag naplano at nahanap ang tamang sangkap, malamang walang palpak. Sa ganyang paraan, walang nasasayang. Tiyak na best quality at the best price ay swak na swak. Approve?
Approve!
Alright, I hope everyone is back. While we are on break, we played a short audio-visual presentation on goods and services. For more quick guide in government procurement and other related short videos and audiovisual presentation, you may visit our official website at www.gppb.gov.ph. Now, to proceed with our open forum, please be reminded that questions which are initially gathered from our Zoom chat box and from our Facebook Live comment section are filtered, as our resource speaker shall only be answering questions related to our learning session. Once again, let us have our resource speaker, Director Asmad Usman. And for our first question,
Ma'am Monica, before we proceed, baka itap na lang natin sila Ray na nandyan sa Facebook ngayon, Director Martin, to answer the question.
pwede ba, sir?
Sige.
Kaya lang, sir, paano po sila mag-answer?
Hi guys, yan.
Opo.
Itatawag yan si Ray. Pag hindi siya kontento doon sa sagot, itatawagan niya ako.
Or itatype po
Sige
nila
po.
through our Facebook Live comment sections.
We proceed.
Pero ano po, we are very confident na kayang-kaya po. Kayang-kaya mo, sir. I think we have 4 questions if I'm not mistaken. So let us start po with our first question. How shall we categorize the design and build?
Okay, clearly we were able to establish that design and build is under infra. This is a classic example of mixed procurement. Pero ang intent kasi talaga ng design and build is to have the structure. That's why it's categorized under infrastructure projects. Yan. Very short lang, Monica, para sigurado
Apo.
tayo. Yeah. Okay.
Short but straight to the point answer.
Infra siya. Definitely. In fact, meron ho tayong specific section. I think it's annex in the yan, nagtagdag tuloy ako. In the handbook, makikita, or in the implementing rules and regulations, makikita no natin, meron nung design and build doon. How do we do it?
Correct, sir. Moving forward po to our next question. Sir, what are the possible sanctions for the late posting of NOAA and NTP in PhilJEP's website?
Sabi natin kanina, mandatory, di ba? So, yan. Might render the procurement really defective, no? But I won't go beyond that. It's a requirement, no? Pag requirement ng process, although, yun nga, na-award na natin, postin na lang, pag nagkaroon na kasi ng implementation, and will be subjected again to the provisions na rin ng contract. Meron ho tayong quantum merit ba o merit, no? Na tinatawag, no? So even if meron na, hindi na fail tayo, hindi ho natin na-post kagad itong mga itong notice of award and notice to proceed, we are bound by the provisions of the contract that we entered with the suppliers. Yan. Pag nag-implement sila, we're bound to pay. But effective po yun. Kasi anyways, yes ma'am, proceed. So what is the possible sanction? Might be render the procurement effective and then the contract, kung merong because that's a mandatory requirement. Okay? Pero wala pa naman akong narinig o nabalitaan sa mga chismis na nakasuhan o whatever, nag-prosper na case because hindi nila na-post yung notice of award or notice to proceed. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward to our third question. Is it required to conduct post-qualification every time a bidder wins? Like if the supplier has been post-qualified recently, then thereafter, he or she won again after 2 months for another project. Can we rely on the previous post-qualification or really conduct a new one?
Yeah. First, we'd like to clarify. Ibig sabihin yun ng won dyan or win before the post-qualification, siya yung lowest calculated bid. Pero hindi pa siya nananalo kasi subject pa nga siya sa post-qualification na. You must remember that each procurement project or bidding activities or project is distinct and separate from the previous bidding activities. So meaning, ikakandak mo siya lahat nung proseso including the post-qualification. That's the first one. So we cannot use yung...
Fourth question. Okay lang po ba na ang PBD 5th edition pa din ang gamitin na bid documents?
Hindi po siya okay. Kasi nga po, kasama po dyan sa mandatory provision natin yung paggamit po ng standard bidding documents issued by the GPPB. So in short, kung ano man po yung in-issue nila, that will be the one. No? Kung yung recent, latest na in-issue nila, yun po yung mandatory na gagamitin po natin. So hindi ho tayo pwedeng mag-adapt. If you want still to adapt the PBD 5th edition, you're going to seek the approval of GPPB. Okay? So 6th edition na po tayo ngayon.
All right, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Director. I believe that was our last question po. No?
On time na on time tayo, ma'am. 11:57. Nice naman yan. Last but na itawid ko na.
Kayang-kaya ni sir. All right po, thank you very much po again, Director Ahmad Usman. If you have more questions po, no, you may still visit, you may still ask them out by visiting slido.com. All you have to do is to just type in the event code #GovernmentProcurementPH, to which the GPPBTSO will answer through an issuance or through FAQs. At this point, we would like to thank again our resource speaker, Director Ahmad Usman, for always accepting our invitation and for profoundly answering the questions raised by our participants. Now, before we proceed to the final reminders, allow me to provide a bird's eye view of our today's learning session. Today, we had an entire session on standard bidding procedures for goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services, where we had a comprehensive discussion on the key concepts in the bidding procedures for the procurement of goods and services, infrastructure projects, and consulting services, where we highlighted the general principles and considerations for the respective procurement undertakings, led, of course, by our today's resource speaker, Director Ahmad Usman. We do hope, that you were all able to have a deep dive on the procurement procedures and requirements, which would ultimately, hopefully ultimately aid you in the fulfillment of your duties and obligations and responsibilities as efficient procurement practitioners in your respective municipalities. For the final important reminders, again, we would like to remind the participants to please accomplish the participants' daily attendance form day 3 by visiting the link provided in our chat box. Rest assured that all of the information gathered for this online training shall be treated with utmost confidentiality consistent with the provisions of the Data Privacy Act. Finally, for tomorrow, the 4th day of our week-long virtual event, please be reminded that the program shall start at 8 a.m. and we would like to request everyone again to log in at least 10 minutes po via our Zoom platform so that we can start on time po. For concerns and other matters relative to our program, you may directly coordinate with Ms. Jocelyn Beslig and Mr. Marky Duetes or any of our GPPB TSO Secretariat. Finally, may request everyone po to please switch on their cameras to commemorate this learning session with our resource speaker. Again, we shall be having 3 shots. So I will be, again, quickly browse through my Zoom screen. Ayan, ang ganda pong tingnan na lahat po tayo ay naka-open ng camera. It's very nice to see all of your beautiful faces po, no? So, for our first shot po, no, I think we are all ready. Director, ayan. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. For our second shot, ready? 1, 2, and 3. For our third shot, gusto niyo po ng wacky? Or my heart sign? Ready? 1, 2, and 3. I hope we got that. All right, that is it. That concludes the third day of the online training for the Municipal Local Government Units on Government Procurement Reform Act, or the Republic Act number 9184 and its 2016 revised, implementing rules and regulations. On behalf of the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office, this has been your facilitator, Monica Marie Sadia. Thank you all very much and see you all tomorrow.